All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. We'll start in baseball. The Phillies beat the Braves last night. They're moving on to the NLCS for the second straight year. They're going to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks starting this weekend in Philadelphia. NFL news, Deshaun Watson, he's been ruled out for the Browns this weekend as they take on the 49ers this Sunday. And the Aztecs, they're back in action. They take on Hawaii tomorrow night. 8 p.m. kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The brilliant EQE SUV from Mercedes-Benz with available digital light technology. It's so smart, even the headlamps are thinking. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQE SUV.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour one of Jon and Jim. We are back from Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, it was an interesting night because, to say the least, right? Because we did our show yesterday, Mountain West Media Day.
Yep.
We knew we were flying out at 10 o'clock initially. Well, all of a sudden, I get the text, hey, your flight's delayed.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at Jim. Jim looks at me. We're like, oh, Lord.
Like, oh, here we go.
But we had the sports book, right? So, and then the flight gets pushed back again. And then you're thinking, like, budget airline, are we going to make it back?
Like, we paid, what, $50 for this flight?
Round trip.
Round trip.
We paid $50 round trip.
$50.
So are they really that worried about getting us on this flight today?
I don't think so.
Is there even a plane that's able to do this?
It's somewhere over there.
So we boarded at what time, Jim? I mean, what time did we leave?
We didn't take off. I checked my phone until 11, like almost 11:30.
And then, we were dead tired. I mean, we barely slept the night. Well, I barely slept the night before because I showed up early for the Mountain West Media Day event while you slept in, but that's what you do. So Jim took a photo. You need to post this, I think.
I'm saving it for the right moment.
It's going to be like 7 months.
I'm saving it.
He took a photo of me just like
the right
my
moment.
Jaw like dropping. I'm like passed out, like dead tired on the plane.
Jon, it's like one of the worst pictures you could take of somebody when they're fast asleep. And it's not just that they're asleep, but they're like you said, your jaw's wide open, your mouth's open, your like neck is formed in with your jawline, and your head is backwards, and you're kind of drooling to the side a little bit.
Was I?
I didn't really.
Was I snoring?
Well, the plane I couldn't hear. I was
Okay.
listening to music,
Right.
But it was a moment. I was like, I gotta take a picture.
So you took a photo of me in my like worst,
in your worst moment,
my most vulnerable spot.
Yep, and I would have expected you to do the exact same thing. Honestly,
I would have. Actually,
you would have.
If I was awake. But here was the other thing, Brent, because Brent, I think late in the show was like, "Hey, Jim, are you going to watch whatever low key, or whatever it's called? Are you going to watch your Disney show?
Loki? Yes, not low key, but Loki. That's the name of the show, Jon. Loki. He's a character in Marvel.
Spell it.
Loki.
Oh,
what you think?
Whatever. I thought it was low key.
No,
or low key, like one word. Anyway,
no.
Anyway, he was fine with the delay, Brent, because he just sat there on his phone watching these like shows. I'm twiddling my thumbs.
It was a 51-minute episode, which was fantastic for me. I took all the time that I would have sat there doing nothing and bored away. I was it went by quickly, and I was fine. Everything was fine with me.
I know.
I don't know about you.
I know. By the way, Jim is on the plane. He's listening to music. He's watching shows. I just sit there. I've always been like that. I won't put AirPods in.
What?
I just sit there.
You don't.
And I either fall asleep or I just stare at the back of the chair.
So if you went on a 5.5-hour flight, you just sit there?
No joke. You'd ask Kristen. I mean, occasionally we'll like put something on. If there's like the monitor, I'll put something on. But a lot of times I'll just sit there, pass out for an hour, wake up for 30 minutes.
See, the only
you watch the airplane thing fly across.
Yeah,
the
I'll
country,
do that. That's kind of fun. I'm like, oh look, we're over Des Moines.
See, flying back to Philadelphia, the couple of times that I have,
all right, Bryce,
on Southwest, I love it because you get a TV in front of you,
Sure.
and you can pick a bunch of different movies to watch
That's
from.
every airline other than the one we took yesterday.
I know, because it's Spirit, but I'm totally fine with that. So
right, because you're good. It's so true. Jim is one of these guys. If you have a device in front of you, you're good. You could go to South Africa with a device in front of you for 24 hours. I'm good.
Give me a couple of movies to watch. I'll be fine.
Yeah, that's
I
all
just sit there.
Yeah.
All right. I want to do something. I was thinking about this on the
You're
drive in. You know where Colin was right, where Colin was wrong. You know it.
Yes, I do know that.
Okay, I'm going to give you where John was right, where John was wrong, real quick.
Oh, great.
Just hear me out. I'll start with wrong. I said the pitch clock would impact the postseason in a negative way. We watched that whole game last night. I don't even recall the pitch clock, and they're using it. And it's drama-filled baseball, but they're not like, isn't that weird? It felt like a long game, but they're using the clock.
I didn't think about the clock one time.
I know that's a credit to baseball. I said in March, you cannot use the clock in the postseason. Something's gonna go screwy.
I don't think they're going to.
No, I'm saying that they've been using it though. Like the pitchers are abiding by it.
Well, yeah, I know, because that's how the game is now.
I know, but that's so weird to me because even watching last night, 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, there was so much drama.
Yeah.
You would think with that much drama, there'd be some type of, I don't know, pitch clock violation, right?
So you thought
I thought
because
we'd have
of
more
the
violations,
drama,
balls and strikes.
the pitchers would
take more time
all of a sudden
take more
slow
time.
everything down
Correct.
from what they've been doing all year long.
Just like the normal postseason, because it used to be the 3.5-hour games would take 4.5 hours in the postseason. You know?
If I was a pitcher, I would want to speed things up.
Okay.
And I'm just saying this, I have no experience, but just from a mindset standpoint, I don't want to think about it. I just want to go and do it, because the more you think about it, the better chance of you messing up or letting the nerves get to you become. You know, when sometimes I get to like, hey, do you ever get nervous going on the radio? When I first started, and I was like, no, I just put the mic on and you just got to go. You can't think about it, because the more you think about it,
Jim definitely doesn't think.
Then you just got to go. Exactly.
Right.
That's how I am. I read and react, and I don't even read. I just react.
You just react.
I just react.
No, it's true. You are I've said this so many times on air. If there's one thing you could say about Jim, this is like a backhanded compliment. If there's
thanks.
one
There we
thing
go.
you could say,
this is one.
He is the exact same person on air that he is off air. The same things he complains about on air are the same things he complains about off air. The same things he says about the Dodgers on air are the same things he says about the Dodgers off air.
I just throw a bunch of F-bombs off the air.
Exactly. And if you watch us on YouTube with the wrap-up show,
I've gotten that too. Do you have like a different personality on the radio?
No.
Do you have a radio voice? And I'm just telling them,
don't.
I talk on the radio.
You do. Okay, so that's where I think I got it wrong, because I thought we'd have like the World Series decided on a pitch clock violation. Clearly, that's not going to happen. At least it hasn't to this point. I'm going to tell you where I think I got it right, and I've been like screaming this point for the last 2 years, and everyone's yelling about the format. But I said when they expanded the postseason, I said the regular season, guys, isn't going to matter as much. And there's been people that have pushed back at that, and I understand it, because baseball's regular season. What was the word the Brave used yesterday about the clubhouse? It's
sanctuary.
It's a sanctuary.
The sanctuary.
The baseball regular season is a sanctuary. I mean, we're used to thinking you win 100 games and you're playing in championship series and World Series. It's happened a lot in the history of baseball, but they've changed it all, Jim. And yeah, the bye in theory sounds good. You don't have to play the extra round, but the bye has not worked out for I think 6 of the 8 teams that have had it now through 2 years. So maybe they'll change the format. And I don't. This isn't a format conversation. Here's my point. As long as these are the rules, as long as this is the format, just get in. And the 111 wins in the regular season, it's not buying you much based on what's happened the last 2 years.
That's what we said after last postseason. We said this year, just get in the postseason. That's what you got to do. Now, would I have also liked? Like, am I ever going to complain that if the Padres ever win a division title?
Great. It would be great. I want to see it too.
I'm never going to complain about that.
But I'm saying with a grain of salt, when they're 35 games over 500 at some point in the future,
maybe lose like 10, 15 in a row here just to get yourself back to even.
I'm not saying that.
I'm kidding.
But I am saying you got, even when you have this incredible season, and hopefully the Padres put one together at some point soon, you always know that on the other side of it is a 5-game series where you got to win 3 games. I don't care if you win 120 games or not. It's not easy. And back in the day, they put you in the championship series or the World Series. But now with this time off, I think if nothing else, it's been an issue. And it's just changed the dynamic, I guess is the point. It's just changed the dynamic of the regular season. You got to get in, but 110 wins or 84 wins like the Diamondbacks and 84 win Arizona has as good of a chance as the teams that are gone. Well, better chance now.
I just don't think complaining about, I'm not saying you are, I'm not saying you are, but anybody who is about the format.
No, I'm not.
No, I know you are.
Yeah, I'm not.
But anybody that is and upset that you're not getting the 100-win Braves or the 100-win Dodgers or the 100-win Orioles moving on to the CS round, that's not how sports works.
Well,
like,
right. That's a great point.
It's not.
If you wanted the best team to win, they can allow the best team in the regular season to win. They do it in soccer around the world, and it works fine. But that's not the format.
Not the format.
By the way, in March Madness, if you didn't want St. Peter's winning games, you wouldn't let them in.
No.
If you only wanted the best 8 teams, there'd be no St. Peter's. Look at college football.
Mm-hmm.
They don't give traditionally the Boise States of the last 20 years the opportunity.
Yeah.
The Cincinnati's and the UCFs. But if you want it to be, I don't know, I think intrigue, exciting, a level of fairness, a level of reward for good regular seasons, you open it up.
For these teams that lost, there should be no excuse other than we did not play good.
Did you see the quote from Spencer Strider?
It was a great quote.
It was an amazing quote. It's like, listen, it's on us.
Yeah.
We bear the responsibility of it. I don't want to hear about format and bye weeks. If we had performed better, I'm paraphrasing, we're going to win the series, and we didn't, and that's on us. And I don't want to. And he said anyone else that's pointing their attention elsewhere is missing the point. It's a 5-game baseball series. The team that outplays the other moves on. It was as simple as that.
And with every Spencer Strider of the world who takes responsibility, you have the Ronald Acuñas of the world who, man, did he show his true colors last night after that game.
I know.
If you don't know, he declined to speak to the media. He walked out of the clubhouse, and the reason why he left was he needs to make the bus.
Yeah,
if I was in Atlanta today on the radio, I don't care that he had one of the greatest seasons ever for a player. He's going to win probably the MVP unanimously.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
First player ever with a 40-70 season. Like, are you serious? That right there, that is all people are going to remember about this season.
Well, I agree with you.
Him.
I will say, and I don't know what he was thinking, and I'm with you. You got to speak in that setting. The season's over. People have questions. You got to face the music. I will say the ball he hit, and we're sitting there in a sports book in Vegas. The ball he hit in the 8th inning, Jim, was there 1 on or 2 on?
Bases loaded, John.
Bases loaded on walks. Thank you. With 2 outs, and he rips the ball to deep left center field. Where off the bat, in fact, Craig Kimbrell's reaction was he got me.
Yep.
You could just tell from Kimbrell's reaction,
and Acuña's.
I know, and
because he kind of walked out of the batter's box.
So my point is, like, that's a high. I mean, think about that. Like the adversity situation. If you're Acuña, you think maybe you're sending Atlanta back to Game 5, and you fly out, and your season is over. Yeah. But you got to face the music. That's the job. You're getting paid handsomely. Yeah. There's good and there's bad. You're going to win MVP. To your point, you got to face the music. Alanna Rizzo even has faced the music today to some extent. I don't buy it. I don't buy it one bit.
I don't buy it either.
She got a call.
You think?
Oh yeah,
from the Baseball Writers Association of America.
You think? And I'm sure that Acuña will get a call as well.
Yeah, like, you got to talk there.
You got to talk, and that is such a bad look on such a great player.
Great player.
And a guy that is a leader of that team,
no doubt.
Perceived leader of that team. And until he wins, until he performs in the postseason, because he had an awful postseason. I don't know how Atlanta media is going to frame Acuña's year this year or frame Acuña going forward, but he framed himself as being a guy who is a pouty mouth, sore loser, and until he wins and until he performs in the postseason, that's who Ronald Acuña is, man.
You got to speak.
Got to speak, bro.
You just have to do it. All right. So if you missed this yesterday, we talked about it. Let's just play it in its entirety. Alanna Rizzo on Braves clubhouse gate, though. Like, what would you even? I don't want to set the whole thing up, but we can.
Multiple people in the Braves clubhouse overheard Orlando Arcia, chanting.
And reporters reported it, and the Braves got mad, and Alanna Rizzo got mad too on High Heat. Take a listen.
I'm out, and I am so irritated with all of these people, these bloggers or podcasters or not even reporters, not even journalists going into the clubhouse. You're ruining it for the rest of us. The guys that come in the postseason and don't have any clue of the pulse of the team, and it's making it worse for the people that are there every single day, covering this team on a daily basis, and then some comes in at the end of the season that gets a credential, God only knows why, and take the clubhouse is a sacred space. And I remember I've been in clubhouses for the last 16, 17 years. I remember I would go in there, get my job done, and get out. That is their space. So for this idiot to go in there and take something out of context just to make him give himself a name is ridiculous. And I completely understand what Travis Darno is saying. I completely understand what Kevin Gossman is saying. You guys can throw up the tweets right now about Kevin Gossman, what he was saying about the fact that they should be allowed to talk in their own clubhouse. Now, there are non-media areas and clubhouses. I understand that, but that's ridiculous. You have to have some sort of decorum intact. If you're going to be lucky enough to cover a Major League Baseball team or a professional team, this is what Kevin Gossman had to say. It's ridiculous us players have to watch what we say in our clubhouse. And you know what? He's absolutely right. That is their space. It is not a space to go in there and linger around and watch their televisions and just kind of, hang out in there. That's not your space. Some of y'all, man, all I'm saying is that you should not be allowed to quote a player or say you heard something like this in the clubhouse when you, the reporter, are not talking to that player. First of all, this guy, Jake Mintz, that's not even a reporter. That's taking away from true reporters and true journalists. Where were you on the random Tuesday in April in Cincinnati when this team was playing in Cincinnati? Where were you on a rain delay and you have to sit in the press box for all of this time? It's ridiculous.
You sound like me.
She must have some good job security, because to attack somebody like she did in probably the most disrespectful way that you could possibly attack somebody of the media for doing their job on a national show, millions of views as far as her little rant there goes. She must have some good job security, because that's like honestly, John, that's a close to a fireable offense.
Or to your point, I agree with that. Or to your point, she's thinking about getting clicks. She's thinking about the clout element to it.
Yep.
And she's sharing her true feelings, because in what you and I do, and we've been on the wrap-up show.
Oh yeah.
There are moments where sometimes you let your guard down.
I always have my guard down.
And by the way, you do. And sometimes, but those are true colors.
Yep.
You cannot about face that in 24 hours. And I will not buy that as being legitimate.
How is she not at least suspended for that?
Well, Baseball Writers Association of America says this, and then we'll hear the apology. Baseball Writers Association of America comes out with a statement. Jake Mintz is a member of the Baseball Writers Association of America.
Yeah.
She ripped into this organization essentially. They said Jake Mintz of Fox Sports was subjected to a personal attack during a segment on MLB Network. For the record, Jake is a member in good standing, has earned the right to be credentialed through his hard work and quality coverage. To assert otherwise in vulgar terms is both unprofessional and unacceptable. The BBWAA is deeply troubled that the league's own network would permit the disparaging of one of our members in this fashion. Scrutinizing our work is part of the territory, but comments such as these should have no place on Major League Baseball Network.
Now, Jake Mintz took the high road here. Good for him.
Did he? What does he say?
I don't know if I could have. I really don't.
No, you would have gone crazy.
I would have. I would have gone low, but he went high. He said, what Alanna said yesterday was incredibly hurtful / uncalled for. I'm glad she apologized. One last thing before this hopefully moves on.
Okay.
Please don't toss hate, particularly sexist stuff, into her mentions. She effed up. She said sorry. The end. Take the high road. Appreciate you all.
I completely agree with that on the.
Oh, for sure.
I agree with that. If you have a fair, legitimate critique or take on what she said, that's reasonable. But don't go outside the bound. Don't make it something that has to do with one person's sex or the other. That's stupid.
Like I think what she said, and she sounded like a complete idiot.
Yeah, regardless of whether she said it or you said it, male or female, it had nothing to do with that. If you just listen to what she said,
she is completely off base.
But
okay,
so less than 24 hours later, she's back in high heat. Clearly, she got the call. They forwarded the email from BBWAA. She's somehow still allowed to be on the air. To your point, she says this. I don't buy it.
Philadelphia Phillies. But before we get into that, I wanted to give a very heartfelt apology to Jake Mintz and the entire BBWAA. What I said yesterday about Jake was completely inappropriate. It was inaccurate and it was beyond unprofessional. I got caught up in the heat of the moment, but I have to say the media, of course, the BBWAA and the credentialed media do a tremendous job covering the sport that we love. And what I said was completely off base. And I've had an interesting 24 hours and I've learned a lot more. And I apologize to Jake. I talked to him already. I apologized to him privately, and I also apologized to him publicly. They do a good job in the clubhouse, and I was completely inaccurate in my assessment of what went down the Philadelphia Phillies. But before.
Okay. That felt completely not genuine at all. But, it's just whatever. She said sorry. Move on. It's not genuine. Alanna Rizzo will now be known for the rant more than the apology, honestly.
Dude, that's so fake. The Will Smith apology thinks that's fake.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, you always have to ask yourself this about an apology. Would you have done it without the pressure
No.
that you received? Or basically, it's like a forced apology.
Yeah. It totally is. It is you need to apologize right now, because if you don't,
we're going to take your credentials away.
Exactly. I mean, not only did you can criticize somebody, but when you go and start calling them, like, I thought you said jagoff, not the other term, not the other word.
Yeah, it's the other thing.
But when you start doing that, throwing low blows to somebody, dude, like, what are we doing here? She looks like a complete clown. No one buys her apology. Good for Jake to, take this high road and move on. He's a better person than me, I can tell you that. But like I said, she's going to be remembered now more for her stupid rant than this fake apology.
Honestly, and the funny thing, it's not that funny. The truth is, she's been elevated as a result of it.
Oh, yeah.
And it likely is better for her than worse for her moving forward because of the attention it's received.
Dude,
Maybe not this specific example, but that is the case sometimes. You get the clicks, it elevates you as a personality, and you move on.
So I looked at her. She was tweeting the other night.
Yeah, I saw.
And I looked at one of her tweets. Like, the first comment was like, F you.
Yeah, I know. We know social media.
Social media is stupid.
You should see Jim. Go to Twitter and search at Jim Russell SD. See what people are saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So imagine it on a national scale.
Right. But she also brought that upon herself.
But some of it, to Jake Mintz's point, is like, come on, guys.
Yeah, there are
she
things
said something, but
chill out.
You don't have to react in the manner in which you're reacting.
What she brought upon herself was literally a universal front by some of the most respected members of the media.
Right, but not like F you.
No. Calling her out on her BS and explaining why what she said yesterday was complete horse, you know what. And that, I think, right there is what she's going to get from this whole thing, is that every respected member of the media thinks that now, hey, Alanna, I'm sorry, but you're kind of a clown for this.
No doubt. I mean, now listen, transparency and honesty at times can be a really good thing. I'm going to tie this back to Mountain West Media Day on the other side. Brian Dutcher,
I like a good tie-in.
Brian Dutcher, Field of 68 podcast yesterday in Vegas. I loved his transparency and his honesty and his candor. You're going to hear from Brian Dutcher on the other side about the state of San Diego State and its basketball program. We're just getting going. JB Long's on the show, voice of the Rams at 4 p.m. Paul Garrison from Honolulu will join us at 5:30, get us ready for San Diego State and the Rainbow Warriors. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Let me do it. You good with that?
Yeah. Yeah. Go.
You're unmuted though.
I know. I've just used my computer.
Okay. JD Gaucho, thank you, my man, for the super chat. Guys, if you're here, please subscribe. Year-round content for fans of San Diego sports and Jon and Jim. Also, thank you for the supers. Really do appreciate it. Like this one from JD Gaucho. You click the $ below the chat box. We get to all the super chats at our breaks. He says Braves choke. 104 wins, 14 more than the Phillies. Knocked out 2 straight years in Philadelphia. Shutout game 1 at home. First time at home all year. Acuna 2 for 14. Yeah, I mean, listen, they won the World Series in 2021. They've come up short in 2022 and 2023. And, Jim, to some extent, it's the new normal. I mean, it's one series. One team won 14 more games than the other, but it's one series. And they got outplayed. Fair and square.
Yep.
That's what happens, dude. It happened last year with the Padres and the Dodgers.
Yeah.
The Dodgers were overall the better team, but the Padres played better than them at the right moment. Same thing with the Phillies. And I think, over the course of a season, the Braves were built for the regular season. The Phillies are built for the postseason. That's pretty much what it is. They have two better starters. They have better starters than the Braves as far as talent goes. They have, I think, a comparable lineup.
Yeah, 1 through 9, it's really deep.
Very comparable.
Yeah.
And I think the bullpens are pretty comparable. Maybe you give the edge to the Phillies, but it's over the course of a season, the team might be better over the course of a season, but for a series, dude, the Phillies match up incredibly well.
The Phillies had Matt Strom, and the Braves didn't. That was a big difference last night as well. JD Gacho, thank you again. He says, Padres and Dodgers tying for the #1 flop with the Braves right behind. Okay, when you think of the top flops this year, I mean, the Mets would be up there. He says Padres, Dodgers tie for #1, Braves right behind. Who else is out in addition to the Dodgers and the Braves?
I would go, my list would be Mets, Braves.
You put Braves above Dodgers? Yeah, because they had a better year.
Yeah. I think the Dodgers are very flawed.
No doubt. Starting pitching, definitely.
I would go Mets, Braves, Dodgers, Padres.
You think the Dodgers are a bigger flop than the Padres? Bigger?
Dude, they got swept by the D-backs in the first round of the playoffs after winning 100 games again.
I don't know how to feel about that. Hold on.
They're pretty comparable.
We can keep this right here for 1 second. All right, Brian Dutcher, in his own words about his San Diego State men's basketball program for Mountain West Media Day yesterday. That's next.
I would say that, the Padres are definitely a big flop, but man, what the Dodgers did in the postseason, they didn't even compete.
We should honestly, I'm going to create a poll question: bigger flop, Padres or Dodgers?
Do it.
I think it's an interesting question. And then this one from JD Gatcher, who says Dodgers have upgraded from Alanna Rizzo with Kirsten Watson. I don't know anything about Kirsten Watson. Do you?
No clue.
I have no idea who she is.
Alanna Rizzo was a team reporter.
Correct.
And so she was not a journalist. I just think that she has some extreme old school mentality bias that the baseball world and the world of sports just is not around anymore. It's, how many YouTubers and bloggers and everything are out there now? It's not about that. Like, we don't have to be in that clubhouse one time to be somebody on the internet people listen to, which is kind of what it is.
Yeah, exactly. JD Gaucho, appreciate it, man. Guys, if you'd like to contribute to the channel, click the $ below the chat box. We'll get to every single super chat at a break. Please subscribe. Smash the like button for us. Tell someone about our channel if you wouldn't mind. Post about it on social media. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks, guys.
All right, this update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Phillies are moving on to the NLCS for the second straight year after they took down the Braves for the second straight year. They now will take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the NLCS starting this weekend. NFL news of the day: Deshaun Watson has been ruled out this weekend for the Browns as they take on the 49ers, and the Aztecs take on Hawaii tomorrow night in Hawaii. 8 p.m. kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. The versatile all-electric EQ from Mercedes-Benz. It's impressively techy and surprisingly roomy with available seating for up to 7. The vehicle is all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQB.
All right, Howl Scream tickets will give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Isn't that like Yoda? Like, I said it wrong. I should say,
what?
In the 4 o'clock hour, we'll give away Howl Scream tickets. I shouldn't say Howl Scream tickets will give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Aren't I talking backwards?
Yes.
How does Yoda talk?
Kind of backwards.
Like, the show will be on.
Like, stupid you are.
Idiot Jim is.
Stupid you are.
Right.
That's pretty much what it is.
I'm trying to relate to you.
Idiot
I can't relate
you
to
are.
You're watching Low-Key and Star Wars every second.
Yeah, I am.
Exactly.
Got a problem with that?
Not really.
I know you don't.
You know, over the last handful of years, how many times have you heard me say about what do you got?
You saying low key all the time would be like if you had bracketologies and we're like bracketology.
It's Loki.
One word.
Like one word. Like no syllable in between. It's just one word. Loki.
Okay. So how many times have you heard me say over the last 5 or 6 years with Brian Dutcher, he's one of the most underrated coaches in the country? Cancel that out. Let's just now say he's one of the best coaches in the country.
Well, yeah.
Because he's got like a top 5 winning percentage since he took over. He took his team to the national championship game last year. Like this whole underrated, forget about it. Like he's just one of the best coaches in the country, period.
Mm-hmm.
End of sentence. Mm-hmm. So one of the things you and I both appreciate about Dutch is his candor, transparency, and honesty. Yep. When they win, he'll give you how he feels about it. When they lose, he'll give you how he feels about it. So he goes on a podcast yesterday. Now, we interviewed him for 15 minutes. But the best part of his conversation yesterday in Vegas was on the Field of 68 podcast. Credit to me and you.
So I saw this before we had Dutch with us.
Right. And then you tried to get a similar answer.
I tried to get him to go there.
The question you asked made no sense.
What do you mean?
Brent's laughing back. Yeah, because the way you asked it, it was when your follow-up to a question, right? Was that what it was? That question to me made no sense.
It was what
did
I ask?
It was like, basketball and PB&J. Whatever you said, I don't think it made sense. So I'm not sure if it was going to elicit that reaction. I hate to be that brutally honest. Some of my questions are terrible.
I don't know what
I'm not saying your question
it was like, what do you think of the landscape of college basketball and how do you view yourself as a program?
All right, so this is Brian Dutcher. No, it wasn't bad. I'm gonna have to get Brent to pull it up.
No, we're not.
Exactly. All right, so this is yesterday, Brian Dutcher, Field of 68 podcast, talking about everything going on right now in college basketball, how it relates to his San Diego State program. Take a listen to this.
Well, first of all, in regards to San Diego State, the one thing I control is the narrative. And I've said from the start, we are a Power 5 team. I don't care what conference we're in. So if we go to the Pac-12 as it exists, we're a Power 5 team in the Pac-12. If we stay in the Mountain West, we are a Power 5 team. So I'm controlling the narrative. And that's what the narrative is. I don't care where we are. We're Gonzaga. They're in the WCC. They're not looked at as a mid-major. And so that we can control, the narrative. As far as college athletics, it's backwards. To not be playing regionally in every other sport other than football makes zero sense. So I'm still a believer that we can still get this right. Maybe in 5 years when these contracts are up and everyone's renegotiating, let's go back and play regional and everything other than football. Let football be football. You know, I remember when they were talking realignment maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, and Kansas was going to be left out of realignment. One of the greatest basketball programs in the country for history. And they're going to be left out. So this has nothing to do with basketball. As much as they like having games in their catalog, this is a football deal. So let football do themselves, and let's get back to some kind of sanity and play regional sports.
Yeah, you're not alone. I mean, you hear that a lot right now is let football do their thing. They're the ones who drive it anyway. And again, they're only going out, how many weeks does it affect them anyway? Right?
Yeah,
barely affects them.
They're playing one game a week, and if it's a Saturday game, they go and get home and they can be in class. What they're doing to college athletics now is saying you're going to be an online student. If you're going to be a college athlete, you're going to have to do it online because you can't get to class if you're traveling to the East Coast and back constantly. And so, surprising to some of these people, a lot of these athletes are majoring in engineering and business, and where classroom is important, being in the classroom. And not everybody's going to be served by going online school. If you're leaving LA to play in New Jersey, Rutgers, and you're on the softball team and you want to be an engineer.
All right, so I know a question I should have asked.
What was the question that you should have asked to elicit that response?
What's your thoughts on college realignment?
Yeah, the state of college athletics.
Yeah.
With all the realignment we're seeing and the East-West travel, the nationwide conferences, how do you feel about that?
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Next time, we're going to have him on again. But don't you, I mean.
Dutch, I needed that for our show,
But
buddy.
that's like, honestly, there's a little bit of like a mic drop element in there.
Yeah.
He's 100% spot on. The problem with college athletics sometimes is college athletics. Like, how did we go so wrong? And it's all because of football money.
Yeah, it's screwed everybody.
All driven by football money. He's right. This is what should happen, Jim, in the future. And to his point, maybe we get it right in the future or not. Even if football runs away from everything else, why, even if Oregon and Washington are playing Penn State, why wouldn't Oregon and Washington in basketball play USC, UCLA, and San Diego State and stay in the West? Do you really need to take your basketball program out east just because your football program is doing the same thing? They're different. They're completely different sports.
Yep. Basketball is not driving the realignment talk.
Right.
It's football. So if you're going to do realignment, only do it for football. Don't screw all these other athletes
softball
with
give me a break.
Volleyball and soccer and all the Olympic sports out there.
UCLA baseball is going to play in State College, Pennsylvania for baseball when they can play schools in California up and down the coast.
Don't ruin all other athletics because of college football's greed is basically how the summary of Dutch right there. Like, you are ruining and you are hurting college athletics because of football greed that they have towards, being in the conference that can pay the school the most money.
That's exactly right.
And it's hurting so many kids. I mean, if I'm a college athlete and I'm looking now like, oh, I wanted to go play soccer at, Stanford, right?
One of the great Olympic sport programs in the history of the United States.
Well, I was going to go with like UCLA or something, a school that's now in the Big Ten.
But Stanford's in the ACC.
I know.
They
Okay.
got to go across the country.
So, like, I wanted to go there because I'm close to my family, one, and two, the travel wouldn't be hard on my family to come watch my games. Now it's like, good luck,
give me a
dude.
break.
Good luck. I had to go travel across the country, and my school's gonna be all effed up, and classes, and on jet lag. It's like, good luck, dude.
I've said this, and I think it really applies to San Diego State basketball because what Dutch said is, he said it for years. We're a Power 5 program in a mid-major league, but with all the increased travel, and you got a Power 5 program like Dutch talks about in San Diego State, you could go to SC, but to the kids in LA, this is a serious question, to your point, to the kids in LA or in Phoenix or in San Diego or in San Francisco, do they want to play for UCLA if they're playing Rutgers, Maryland, and Penn State? Or do they want to play for UCLA so their family can see them in Tempe and wherever else, Northern California, Oregon, and Washington? And it's changed the calculus, I think. San Diego State basketball's always recruited well, even against the Power 5. I think they can use regional play to their advantage moving forward. I don't know if you can do it as much in football. There's a huge gap between power and non-power in football. I don't think it really exists when it comes to the Gonzagas and the San Diego States in men's basketball. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was very good.
It was.
Brian Dutcher. I wish you would ask that question, Jim.
I wish I would have too.
Next time.
Next time.
On the other side, speaking of Jim,
what'd I do?
Shannon Sharp weighs in on Brock Purdy. Now, it's chicken egg stuff. Is it Purdy or is it Kyle Shanahan? It cannot be both per Shannon Sharp and per a lot of people covering the topic. Shannon Sharp weighs in. Is it Purdy or Shanahan, or can it be both? Plus, JB Long, voice of the Rams. He will join us coming up at 4 p.m. Stay with us here on Jon and Jim. All right, who gets credit for the Niners quarterback play? Brock Purdy, their quarterback, or Kyle Shanahan? That's next. Rams Cardinals Sunday afternoon at 1:25 right here on San Diego Sports 760. JB Long, voice of the Rams, will join us coming up at 4 p.m. So in about 15 minutes. I think you did a solo show last Friday, and JB Long was on the golf course. He really wanted to join
Shocker.
you. That's what he told me, but he was on the golf course.
Dude, I'm like, if I was on a golf course and someone asked me to come on the radio, I'd be like, yeah, not happening.
I've asked you like 100 times to do that.
Me?
Maybe not. Maybe not. But you've been on the golf course 100 times.
Yeah.
Right.
But not during the show.
True. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So JB Long is going to join us coming up in about 15 minutes. It's a day of the week, which means someone's taking a shot at Brock Purdy, Jim.
It's a day that ends in Y.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shannon Sharp. He's on ESPN, by the way.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I thought he was on Fox.
No, he left.
Whatever.
Do you-
I watched
You
none
make
of
fun
those
of
shows.
Jim about his updates being out of
Jeez,
date.
that happened
Those
like
shows, though,
months ago.
But what's he doing at ESPN? What was he doing at Fox? Those morning shows, right? His talking head shows. I'm not watching those. Are you?
Undisputed ended like months ago.
The show's over, or they switched hosts?
They switched a bunch of hosts.
Yeah.
I can't concern myself with it.
Oh, you're
But
too,
anyway, I saw this
John's
clip.
too good for this.
No, but I saw Willard tweeted this out.
I know you
So
did.
that's where I saw that Shannon Sharp was on ESPN.
Mm-hmm.
And man, he's got a hot take on the Purdy Shanahan conversation. Who gets the credit? This is Shannon Sharp.
All right.
Is he really an elite quarterback, or is it just the situation he's in?
No, he's not an elite quarterback. He's a product of the system. It's more credit to Kyle Shanahan and what he's done. He's not, and RC, you'll appreciate this. In the biblical term, the devil told God that Job, the reason why he serves you is because you give everything to him. He said if you remove that hedge from around him, he will curse his very maker.
He'll curse you.
He said you can take everything but his life. Took his kid, took his sheep, took all that. Job was still faithful.
Never cursed him.
I'm not so sure that if we remove Debo, we remove Kyle Shanahan, we remove Ayuk, we would still see this Brock Purdy. He's a product of the system. Now, that's not to take away from what he's doing. It's okay for him to be in the MVP discussion and not be Patrick Mahomes or not be Tua or not be an elite quarterback. He still has to go out there and operate. He just doesn't have to do as much as, say, those other guys. If I were to put him in Patrick Mahomes, if I switch places and says, okay, you got to go do what Patrick Mahomes does, or you got to go do what one of these other quarterbacks, I'm not so sure Brock Purdy could do that. But in this system, the ability to run the football with Christian McCaffrey and all the weapons, because all he has to do is just not turn it over. Get it in the Ayuk's hand, get it in Debo's hands, get it in Kittle's hands, and let them do the work. But no, he's not elite. No stretch of the imagination is he elite.
So I think Shannon Sharp drew the short straw of who is going to criticize Brock Purdy this week on ESPN.
Today,
actually, or whenever, today or the week or whatever.
Yeah, it's today because Orlovsky did it yesterday.
That's right. Okay, so who's going to do it today? Shannon, bro, you're up.
What kind of take is like, if you took away all of his weapons, he wouldn't be the same player? Well, yeah, I mean, obviously.
It's a lazy take.
If you took away my shoes, my feet would hurt.
Right. It's a 100% just lazy, not thought out, boring take because you want to.
So you think he'd be just as good then if he didn't have all
I'm not.
his
No, Brent. I'm not saying that.
Well, you said it's lazy, so that's what it seems like.
The reality of it is he does have Debo. He does have Kittle. He does have Brandon Ayuk. He does have Christian McCaffrey.
Right. Just like sometimes Tom Brady had like Randy Moss.
Right.
And had a good running game and had.
You should stop at Randy Moss because that's all he had was Randy Moss.
No, but I think
name another Hall of Famer he played with.
It is. Listen, Mahomes is a good quarterback. We could obviously, and you could have put him elsewhere, and he'd still be good. I don't know if he would have won at this rate. I think that's a fair thing to say. Would he have won at this rate if drafted by the Cleveland Browns? Let's be honest, probably not. He could still be a very good quarterback. It's not Brock Purdy's fault. He plays on a good team and has been good.
He got drafted by the Niners. He has maximized every opportunity that he has been given. He just, if you watch the games and you watch the film, you see that what Kyle Shanahan is calling for Brock is like not these dink and dunk stuff. It's like legit down the field. He's making the right reads. And, oh, sorry, he has some of the best players on his team. Oh, no, it's his fault. Like, give me a break, dude. Give me a break. He's playing really good football right now. Yeah, if you took him out and put him on the Jets, is he doing the same thing? Probably not. But if you took out, there's only like one or two quarterbacks in this league, I feel like, that you could take out and put anywhere, and they'd be just boom, great right away on a bad, crappy team.
Right. So that's a good point. Like, yeah. So who would the quarterbacks be? Mahomes out. Like, if you put Mahomes on the Bears tomorrow.
Well, Mahomes is on a team right now with no wide receivers, a pretty good running back, and obviously the best tight end in NFL history.
Right.
But
I'm saying if you took Mahomes and put him on a really bad team,
the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, I mean, well, the team's gonna be better, but they're not gonna be the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're not gonna be 5-1 right now.
No. Who are the quarterbacks you could just pick up and move right now and drastically improve a team in an instant? Obviously, Mahomes is there. Is Josh Allen that guy? Is Lamar Jackson that guy? Is Tua that guy? Is Herbert that guy? The point is, there's not a lot you would say are capable of doing that. Shoot, Herbert's not winning with the Chargers, so he's gonna all of a sudden go win with the Panthers.
Football, okay, it's not like basketball, right? It's not like baseball. Baseball, it's like a one-on-one, me versus the pitcher. All right. Basketball, you could be LeBron James and completely change the franchise. One player could easily do that. Football is a product of like 1, where you are drafted and go, 2, the system, 3, the coach, the play calling, it all is something that works together. And just to say, do I think Brock Purdy's elite? I don't think he's elite.
Oh, so you were like Shannon Sharp. You just spent the last 5 minutes ripping into him.
But I do think Brock Purdy's a easily top 10 quarterback right now in the NFL. Easy. Do I think he's the best quarterback? No.
Well, I guess what's the definition of elite? That's fair. You're right. If elite, he's only the top 10%, that's 2 or 3 quarterbacks.
If he ends up winning an MVP and winning a Super Bowl, or if he doesn't win an MVP but ends up winning a Super Bowl and happens to be the Super Bowl MVP, then you're in the elite category, buddy. Do you have to? It all depends how you play, though, because there has been quarterbacks that have won MVPs and then completely fallen off the map, or
quarterbacks that have won Super Bowls
and completely fallen off the map. So you got to do it for, I guess, multiple years. But it's how you play that will determine if you're elite or not. And right now, Brock Purdy's playing easily like a top 10 quarterback, probably a top 5 quarterback in the league right now. Honestly, at this point in time, he's a top 5 quarterback.
Yeah, and it's like, who are the Niners going to lose to? I mean, we did this math the other day, and they're going to be favored every single time they take the field until they're in Philadelphia December 3rd. And they might be favored then, depending on how the Eagles are playing.
And he could have a bad game here and there. Does that mean he's a bad quarterback all of a sudden?
Yes.
Okay.
Well said.
You're right. It does.
Well said.
He sucks.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do.
He's not a franchise quarterback. He's not elite. He sucks. It's like, dude, you're totally not even like looking at what he's done. You're saying things that are completely based in fictional stuff. If he didn't have this player, well, he has that player. So why are we talking about it?
JB Long, voice of the Rams. He will get us ready for Sunday. Rams Cardinals right here on San Diego Sports 760. He'll join us on the other side. We have those Howl O Scream tickets to give away in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll go out to Honolulu in the 5 o'clock hour, catch up with Paul Garrison covering San Diego State and Hawaii tomorrow night right here on San Diego Sports 760. But hour 2 of Jon and Jim with JB Long, voice of the Rams, next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. The Phillies are in the NLCS for the second straight year as they beat the Braves last night. They won that series 3-1. They now will take on the Arizona Diamondbacks in the NLCS. ALCS, of course, is the Rangers and the Astros. Those series get underway this weekend. NFL news of the day: Deshaun Watson has been ruled out for the Browns for their weekend game versus the Niners, and the Aztecs take on Hawaii tomorrow night. On the road in Hawaii, 8 p.m. kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. There's a whole lot of savings going on now at Staples during Staples Sit-a-thon. Save up to $150 on select office and desk chairs. And when you buy a chair, you save 25% on desks, storage solutions, and office accessories. In-store only. Offer ends 10/28. Now is the time to save at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. A chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream this hour. Next hour, we're going to go out to Honolulu, get you ready for San Diego State and Hawaii with Paul Garrison at 5:30 from the East Village Times. But as we do often, we're getting you ready for Rams football. You can hear it this Sunday at 1:25 on San Diego Sports 760, Rams and Cardinals. And we're joined by JB Long. He is the voice of the Rams, back with us here on Jon and Jim. So, JB, as always, appreciate it. I was just reading this article. You probably knew about this, but I'm not keeping track of Sean McVay's status as about to be a father. But Sean McVay might miss this weekend's game because his wife is due any day now. Is that the case here with this game against the Cardinals this Sunday?
Oh, Jon and Jim, hope you have a great Friday. Thank you for the invitation. I don't want to speak for Sean and his family, but they're definitely in the landing zone here, and wishing them all the best down the home stretch here in October. I don't know what experience you all have with this phase of life, but I know in the case of my family, my wife, and myself, you're kind of ready weeks in advance, and sometimes they show up early, and sometimes they go beyond the due date. So I think there's still a little margin here, but definitely better to be prepared and to have a contingency plan in place.
Okay, so hypothetically speaking, and maybe you've experienced this. I have a 4-year-old, but I don't know how many children you have, but you can tell us if you'd like. But if your wife was due to give birth on a Rams game day or on a broadcasting game day for you with your TV work and your off-season work, what are you doing?
So we have 2 boys, 7 and another turning 4 in December. We had a spring eldest, and December, as you are well aware, right in the thick of football season. So I actually, we induced, and we're grateful to welcome our second healthy boy on a Friday. By Saturday, I had the green light to take the red eye to Dallas for a 2019 game. Did that, came back with the team, was back at Cedars-Sinai here in the greater Los Angeles area in about 24 hours. Thankful that all worked out. It is coincidental, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but I think for Sean and his wife, Veronica, the due date is approximately Dallas Cowboys week this coming October at the end of this month. And so I would wish him everything lines up similarly to the way that it did for my wife and for me, with one major exception, and that is the Cowboys beat the brakes off the Rams in 2019. I hope that for the arrival of his son, he comes into the world on a winning note, beating the Cowboys.
So I guess as of right now, Sean McVay for the time being is questionable. He's questionable. Yeah. He's questionable.
We are all day today, aren't
right?
We?
Exactly.
We are all day today, every day.
It sounds like he's got his priorities in the right place, and thankful to have someone of Raheem Morris's stature and experience as his defensive coordinator with head coaching experience if the need should arise. And having Mike LaFleur as his offensive coordinator, they speak a very similar language. And to the extent that you could cover for someone like Sean's absence, I think the Rams are equipped to do so and prepared.
So Cooper Kupp returned to the lineup. He's played for 2 games now, I believe. And
this will be a second.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
1 game. He returned last week. But the integration of Cooper Kupp back in the offense with, Puka Nacua, how did it look last week? I know Puka caught a touchdown. Cooper had over 100 yards, I think, in the first half. But the second half, it kind of was a little bit of a struggle. But how do you think they looked together on the field?
Yeah, plenty of footballs to go around. They each get double-digit targets. They each go for more than 70 yards receiving. One gets a touchdown. The other has a 100-yard receiving game. So all good in terms of fantasy perspective. I did think if you watched it down in and down out, there was still a slight disconnect between Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp. Understandable, given that they've been apart for the better part of a month to 6 weeks, especially on some of their vertical shots. They did link up on some beautiful ones, but they missed a couple of potential touchdowns, and I would suspect that it won't take them any more than the 7 days between games to iron those details out. I think the most encouraging thing is that Cooper Kupp physically was able to open it up, was able to run full speed to find that 6th gear and not feel any worse for wear. And so I'm sure he is more comfortable and more confident in his hamstring coming back for his 2nd game of the season this Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals.
JB Long is the voice of the Rams with us right now, San Diego Sports 760. You can hear that game, Rams-Cardinals, right here on Sunday at 1:25. What's the impact, JB, that Aaron Donald is having in 2023 through these first handful of games as opposed to maybe a year ago or even in 2021?
It's interesting. Philadelphia had 6 eyes and about 825 pounds looking at him and dealing with him and devoted to him last week. They did a really nice job making sure that he didn't wreck shop, that he would not be the Ram to beat them. And it's kind of an indictment on those around Aaron Donald. He needs help, because they're all getting one-on-ones and they're not winning. I do think they moved Jalen Hurts off his spot. They impacted the quarterback. They just couldn't tackle him. And so, I believe Aaron Donald was one of his worst pass rushing grades of his career, if you're into the Pro Football Focus thing. But at the end of the day, he's still the 3rd rated interior tackle in the entire league. So it's just shades of eliteness, I guess, for Aaron. And the good news for him and for the Rams is that no one has tormented the Cardinals more since he came into the league than Aaron Donald. So maybe seeing a bit of red this week is just what he needs to kind of, pad those stats a bit. But I would reiterate and emphasize it's not 80-99. It's the other pass rushers 3-4 at a time around him who need to win and compete better.
It's crazy to see who the Rams have played so far this year. Seattle, San Francisco, Philadelphia. Yep. For you, JB, seeing all of those teams, I don't think Seattle's in the top tier, but it's still very good. Who's the best team in the NFL right now, in your opinion, after watching both the Niners and the Eagles both play?
Yeah, I mean, it's the cop-out answer would be whoever gets the 1 seed or whoever wins the coin toss and gets the football first. Because they're both built to win that way. I would say that San Francisco is the more complete team to my eye, but Philadelphia's got some pretty unique abilities, including the brotherly shove or the tush push or whatever you want to call it. That can really tilt a game because of that, the situational, circumstantial football. I mean, they chewed up, over a half an hour of possession in that game. They limited the Rams to only about 50 plays because they were playing keep away. And the Niners have the ability to do that, but they're just a more explosive and more complete team. I would give the 49ers the nod until proven otherwise.
JB Long with us right now, voice of the Rams. You mentioned the tush push. What are your thoughts on it? The way Philadelphia has been able to use it, and just the way it's being used right now in the NFL.
It's manifold. I mean, if it were as easy as they made it look, everybody would be doing it.
Right.
I do think there will come a day where the league will probably make a move to legislate against it, and I'm thinking player safety is probably the cause. But I give the Eagles a lot of credit because this isn't by accident. They drill this, they execute it to perfection. And when you're playing them, each first down feels like 1st and 8, right? They're never in 1st and 10 because if they have a couple of productive plays, if they get into that like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 range, you know they've got 2 snaps to get to where they're trying to go. And if it's 4th and 2 or less, not only are they going for it, but they're going to run that play, and you cannot stop it unless they bungle it themselves.
JB, this weekend, Cardinals. I would, NFC West is, I think, proven to be way tougher this year than people thought maybe going in. Do you feel like, this weekend is like, okay, we got the Rams have to get this game if they want to maintain themselves in the wild card race, even though I know it's early and it's still October, but still a division game. It's pretty important, right?
No, I totally get all of those sentiments. Like, too early in the calendar to call it a must-win game, but it's firmly in the cannot-lose category. And it ties into your previous question, which is to say, the Rams, if there's reason for optimism, no one's played those Niners tougher than they have. And the only teams to have beaten the Rams so far were all in their conference championship game last year. Like, they made the Final Four. And so the Rams are undefeated against teams that weren't in that upper crust as recently as a season ago. However, there's a real danger if you're exhaling and you're kind of resting on finally we get a team that we can beat in our building this week, because the Cardinals are playing better than their record would indicate. I'm impressed by Dobbs, their quarterback, and they got nothing to lose. So, yes, the Rams can make a little hay here. I think they can get on a heater, get back and above 500, and put themselves in a position to compete for an NFC wild. The window.
Yeah, hosting the Cardinals, like you said, hosting the Steelers in Dallas against the Cowboys, as we talked about with Sean McVay and your story as well, and then on the road against Green Bay against the Packers, but maybe a chance there to take 3 of the next 4 and continue that path towards a wild card spot in the NFC. JB, always appreciate it. We look forward to hopefully doing it again next week. Have a good call this weekend, and thanks for your time.
I always appreciate you sending me into the weekend on a positive note. My best to all of you and your listeners as well. Have a great weekend.
We appreciate that.
JB.
JB Long again. You can hear him right here. San Diego Sports 760, Sunday at 1:25. Rams, Cardinals, the beginning of a 2-game homestand for the Rams. This weekend for your Niners, they're going to be in Cleveland, where it's going to be 50-something and raining, by the way, but it is Cleveland in October. But
Is
again,
it?
yeah, it's supposed to be raining, I think. But it's Ohio in October. Like, this is the time of year, if you're playing outside and you're going to the Midwest or the East, it's going to rain. And then it's going to start getting cold. I don't think it is. I agree with what he said, that the Niners right now, I don't know. I've said Kansas City just because, like, until they're knocked off, they're still Kansas City.
Yeah,
but in the NFC, I feel like the Niners right now have played better than the Eagles. Yeah, we all know what happened last year, and they'll meet again this year in the regular season. But just based on what we've seen, the body of work, I'd give the edge to the Niners. Luckily, they'll get to decide it on the field in not that long, a month and a half, December 3rd, I think.
December 3rd, week 13, I believe it is.
And that's when the weather starts to kick in. Now it's Philadelphia. Now it's December. And I don't know if that's the story or not. But again, the way the Niners have played, it doesn't look like the Niners are getting slowed down by anything right now.
We'll see. I mean, they've looked great in their first 5 games they've played this year, scoring all 30 points plus in every single game. The Eagles, though, I do think they just pose the worst type of matchup problems for the 49ers. Running quarterback, a great offensive line, and they have a great defensive line as well. That is how the Eagles are going to be a really good football team this year. Because when you have the best offensive line and you have a top 5 defensive line as well, maybe a top 3, they could have the best the defensive line in the NFL. You're going to win a bunch of games. And oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt when you have AJ Brown, DeAndre, who is the wide? I'm getting the name wrong. Devontae Smith.
Yes,
Devontae Smith.
Yeah, not DeAndre.
And then Swift in the backfield.
Yes, no doubt.
That's what I'm thinking.
Who's a Philly kid, by the way, as well.
Yeah. So Eagles are always, they're going to be tough, dude. Unless there's a major injury, but I hope there's not. I hope we'll see everything on the field.
It's going to be Niners.
Plays out.
Niners. Now we said it's going to be Braves Dodgers, right? Oh, it's Braves Dodgers. Bob Nightingale. Fast forward to October 15th.
Yeah.
Braves Dodgers didn't work out like that. Oh, Niners Eagles until it's not. It's one game.
Mm-hmm.
It's one game.
Yeah.
So things do happen. Or you say like, oh, Kansas City, pencil them in. Mm-hmm. But until you can't. And they've been beaten before, even in AFC title games, like by Cincinnati at home a couple years ago. That was a big surprise. So it seems like that's where we're heading. But It still is. There's a reason we love sports. There's no guarantee that that's where we're heading.
No
it
guarantee.
Seems like that's where we're heading.
Seems like it.
Seems like. The question in the NFC is like, where's the game? Is it in Philadelphia in January or is it in San Francisco?
And the Eagles still, they have the Niners on their schedule. Let's see how they do this against the Cowboys. Are they really the frauds that they showed that they could be against the Niners? Or are they like actually okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fascinating to watch. It will be. But as of right now, there's the two top teams in the NFC. I think after last night, the Chiefs have some issues.
But it's third. You know what? They ho-hum their way through
always
games.
Do that, dude.
They did not impress at all. We watched the entire thing.
Yeah.
But it didn't even matter. They were not seriously threatened. They led 16-0 all game. Yes, they played a terrible team at home, but it was Thursday night. They fall out of bed winning games. If nothing else, they're going to win a game ugly just falling out of bed, by and large.
You can pencil them every year. 12 wins.
Exactly. Now, is it the same offense from like 3 years ago, or they're scoring like 40-something points every game? No. They don't have Tyreek Hill on this team.
No.
And they have had some injuries, and Travis Kelce keeps getting banged up, as he did last night again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, call me in December.
He'll shake it off,
Yeah,
though.
they'll get healthy. He'll shake it off. Look at you. By the way, so, we talked about that. I'm not talking about Taylor Swift. But, here's the line of like delineation with when Deion Sanders' story didn't become the story. It was Taylor Swift. Deion Sanders' team, Colorado, is playing tonight. And we told you that at the break during the Fusion. You're like, wait, what? Colorado's playing tonight? This story has died down significantly. Now, they're not playing SC or something, but they're playing Stanford at home, 7 o'clock on a Friday night on ESPN. Is anyone talking about this? It's like the luster has been taken off. This story was massive, Jim, 3 weeks ago. This was the biggest story in sports.
Yeah, easily.
And it's nowhere near that right now. Nowhere near it.
No.
Is it just because they've lost football games?
It's
just that. That's how college sports work.
It is. They were undefeated going into that Colorado State game.
They won that game in overtime.
Double overtime, I think it was.
Yeah, maybe.
And then the next week they get obliterated by Oregon. And that was like, I don't know about that.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year, guys. I think the USC game was widely entertaining.
Especially late. They came back. It got into the game.
They had scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to make it a one-score game. And Shedeur Sanders had some crazy throws there. But you see over the long period of time the problems with Colorado, and it makes you think too. I thought after the first couple games here, and a lot of people were talking like, hey, maybe Shedeur Sanders is he a first-round quarterback?
He's absolutely a first-round quarterback.
Next year.
Well, hold on. Say this again. Is he a first-round NFL draft pick April of 2024?
Yeah. Or
does he need another year?
Or does he need another year?
I think he could be a first-round quarterback.
Really?
Jim. I really do. I mean, he's leading the nation in passing yards with Colorado. Now, he's got very good skill around him.
Yeah.
But come on, once you get into that.
Oh, wait, hold on. He has good skill players around. System quarterback. System quarterback.
No, but you know how I really believe that he's got a chance even now. He's played a lot of college football, by the way, not at the FBS level, but he's played a lot of college football. I believe he'll be back because of his dad and he's got the NIL money, but I believe if he came out, he'd be a first round pick.
You think he leads all of athletes in NIL money in college?
It's athletics. In the millions, I think, now.
I saw 4.7 million.
Caleb Williams gets a 10.
Yeah, Caleb Williams, I think maybe.
Is it Caleb Williams?
Caleb Williams is crazy.
Caleb Williams
he's on all these national ads. Caleb.
So is Shedeur. He's on the KFC and everything.
No, you're right.
It might change though, because you know how Shedeur always does that watch thing.
Oh, he's got to have watch deals.
Well, he doesn't. But Deion put something out on X about how we need to get him a watch sponsorship. He shouldn't be doing this for free. He says.
That's amazing. But the point is, you go back. I'm not saying you're getting first round money in college for 1 year, but if you could make 5 years ago, you could make nothing. Now you got kids making millions. Why not go back and play for your father?
Yeah.
With a chance to increase your draft stock, even if it's first round pick 15th, the first round pick first overall.
Because he's not
huge money.
He's not going number 1 next year if he went out.
No, because of Caleb Williams.
No chance. But he could go number 1 the following year and work on some things, and become even better.
That's an amazing story. So many people, including myself, have doubted the idea that Deion Sanders can go from Jackson State, bring his son, and have immediate success. Mm-hmm. Now we'll see how this season goes. It's not. They haven't been perfect, but It's impressive what they've done to this point. TCU on the road, just the impact that they've made. But his son goes from Jackson State, and again, everyone's doubting this, and he goes to Colorado, and then all of a sudden, that within a year he's a first-round pick, or maybe within 2 years he's like a top overall pick. That's amazing.
Did you hear him post game after they beat Arizona State last week?
Dion or Shador?
Dion.
Speaking in regard to what?
About the game.
He basically like ridiculed his team.
He didn't even consider it a win.
Right. He's like, this is not good enough, right?
He's like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. I'm sick and tired. He's like, I'm sick and tired of us playing like dog crap.
I think it's a great motivator.
And it's like they won the game. They won 4 games this year.
Yep.
They won 1 last year.
Right.
You are gonna, I think, get to a bowl game. They're getting Travis Hunter back tonight from injury. I mean, if they win 8 games this year, John, that is it's going to be like considered to be one of the coaches of the year in college football.
6, Jim. To your point, from 1 to 6 with their non-conference, including TCU, a team that was in the national championship game that they beat, and then this Pac-12, which is really, really good, and to win 4 or 5 times.
And I know that whatever bowl out there that is going to get Colorado, right? If Colorado can get to a bowl game,
imagine if they're in the Holiday Bowl.
It will not be the Idaho Potato Bowl that wants to get Colorado.
No,
it's going to be the big
Pac-12.
It's going to be. They're going to try to get some really like legit bowl game to put them in because they know that will bring ratings. And if Dion's there, it's going to bring ratings. Now, to your point earlier, is like, well, this thing has completely died off. I agree,
but it's still drawing numbers.
It's still drawing numbers. We're still talking about it. College athletics they can't just stay at Colorado forever. They did more than enough, I feel like, for that whole week of build-up for Colorado than anything that could possibly happen anywhere else.
No, I agree with you. All right, we've got Howl Scream tickets to give away. We'll do that during Trainwreck Radio later this hour. On the other side, we'll get to the wrap. More of a conversation around Shador Sanders. Also, is Dave Roberts making excuses?
Yes.
Plus those Howl Scream tickets. Paul Garrison from Honolulu will get us ready for the Aztecs and the Rainbow Warriors at 5:30. Don't go anywhere. Jon and Jim. Well, we were all talking about this, the price of everything. I mean, everything is going up. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer. And if you need cash to pay off credit cards or do a home improvement, I'm really thrilled to introduce you to the newest, fastest, easiest way to access the equity in your home. Loan Pronto is here. They've got this revolutionary Express Equity line of credit. It's an amazing program. You can get cash out of your home in as fast as 5 days, less than a week. Leave your 3% mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can pull $50, $100, even $200,000 out of your record high home value. That's money you can use to pay off those insane credit card rates. We're talking about 25% credit card rates. Use the money to do a home improvement. Use the money for bills, maybe add solar panels. Best part, 9 out of 10 homeowners, they don't need an appraisal. The fact is, rates are too high to move to a new home, but you can still use your existing equity by converting it into cash. Call now, see how easy it is to get a ton of cash in about 5 days or less. Loan Pronto's equity line of credit, their Express Equity line of credit is here. The number to call, jot this down, 619-207-4336, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Write this down, 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
All right, this update's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Phillies are moving on to the NLCS to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. ALCS, Astros and Rangers. Both those series get underway this weekend. NFL news of the day. Deshaun Watson has been ruled out for the Cleveland Browns as the Browns take on the 49ers this weekend in Cleveland. The Aztecs, John, I've been saying it every update. They take on Hawaii tomorrow night, 8 p.m. kickoff, 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Everything you love about Mercedes, the style, the comfort, the tech, the choice is now available in electric. The vehicles are all electric. The feeling is all Mercedes. The choice is all yours. Learn more at mbusa.com/EQ.
All right, a couple things.
Okay.
All right, first of all, we have a loyal listener who's a big supporter. Terrible Padres memes. You've seen him on Instagram, Jim.
Yes.
And he follows us on Twitter, and he said, hey, at John Schaefer, at Jim Russell SD, can we please stop at the narrative that the Dodgers didn't spend? And they said, hey, Padres spent $255, Dodgers spent $240.
Mm-hmm.
Your argument's still valid. They may end up spending more as a result of the Dodgers going out. We have not said Dodgers didn't spend. Now,
this offseason they didn't.
They didn't spend this past offseason.
Yeah,
we never said they had a low payroll.
Their
we said
payroll's
they didn't
high
spend
because they've paid guys like
Betts and
Freeman, and they have Kershaw still, and Bueller,
absolutely,
and Urias, and months. Like their roster is loaded with high price guys that has already put their payroll around 240. Right?
It was at 240. Now, are they going to become the Mets? Is the question. Are they going to throw the $50 million per year to Ohtani and double down on like a Snell as well? And then all of a sudden you've added like $75 million AAV.
They didn't sign one top level free agent this offseason.
under the assumption
the past offseason.
Under the assumption that there's a lot of free agents like Shohei Ohtani, now Blake Snell, that they could go after this upcoming year.
They even stated that, look, we are going a different direction this year with more of a young, approach. And that's what they did. And they made some trades because their pitching got destroyed during the year. And they didn't spend this past offseason. But again, their payroll's always been high because they have high priced players.
Yeah, we're not like, hey, look at this like amazing
Gritty,
story. How
gritty Dodgers.
Not the A's. Like, hey, they've done it on a $40 million. No, everyone knows the Dodgers spend, and the truth is the Padres outspent the Dodgers this year.
Yeah, by a
they
lot.
outspent the Dodgers this year, yet won 82 games. All right, coming up later this hour, your chance to win that 4-pack of tickets to Howl O'Scream. Paul Garrison from Hawaii will join us at 5:30. We'll get ready for the Aztecs and the Rainbow Warriors tomorrow night. But right now, let's get to this.
Shedeur Sanders leads college football in passing yards. Is he a Heisman candidate?
He's a Heisman candidate for sure.
Is he?
Yeah,
he is.
He's one of the highest rated passers in college football.
He may be. I know he is, but is he a Heisman candidate?
Yes, he's a Heisman candidate, but he's going to need to ball out for the remainder of the season.
Okay, so Jim, I hear what you're saying. I just Googled it.
I mean, Caleb Williams already has like 20 touchdown passes. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, I just looked at the top 20 list at the Miami Herald's website as if there's some like experts on this, but he's not in the top 20 because you got the quarterback of Washington, Penix, who's been amazing. You got Caleb Williams, who's Caleb Williams. You have Bo Nix. I mean, think about that. 3 in the Pac-12 already. In the league, he's not top 3 per Heisman odds because of Nix, Penix, Williams.
Yeah, and that's why I said he needs to ball out.
He's going to have to ball out.
Ball out.
He definitely was. When they started 3-0 and he was throwing for 500 yards per game, but you lose a couple of games, it's tough to probably get out from underneath that, right?
Right, yeah.
That's my guess. Next question.
What 2 teams are going to be in the World Series?
Oh.
Phillies and Astros. Astros are just a machine. They every year, it's for the past 7 years, it's like Astros. Mm-hmm. I think we're gonna get a rematch of last year's World Series, except it's gonna be on the different side this time.
With the Phillies winning?
I think the Phillies are gonna win the whole thing.
I think we're gonna see the Phillies play the Astros.
Yeah, just
like you.
But
that's my opinion. I think for the second consecutive year, and I think we're gonna see the Astros win the World Series.
Well, I guess we're getting D-backs Rangers then.
D-back, right. I just think that the Phillies, and we'll hear from Bryce Harper in the 5 o'clock hour, they're just playing at a different level. Yeah. And I mean, it's just amazing. You look at the way they've been able to do it in the postseason and come around or rally around each other. But I think the Phillies will get there. I think they're better than Diamondbacks, but I think the Astros are just the best team again. They're just the best team in baseball. So we'll see. Next question.
Which one is closer to the truth? The Chiefs are the best team in football, or the Broncos are just the worst team in football?
The Broncos being the worst team in football. That's more closer to the truth, I think.
Because of the Niners and the Eagles and maybe like a Miami. Like there's other good teams.
Yeah, there's other good teams. Chiefs, they got Mahomes and Kelsey and Pacheco, and they still have a really good defense, by the way. Everyone's talking about the problems with the Chiefs offense. No one seems to be talking about how good their defense actually has been.
Mm-hmm.
So they're more, I think, closer to potentially being the best team in the NFL. If they made some moves, I think they could be easily one of the best teams in the AFC just by default because they're always there. But the Broncos are just really, really freaking bad, dude.
But, and I agree with you, I think it's very close. There's other really bad teams, like really, really bad, just like there's really, really good. Like Bears, really, really bad, right? Who else? Panthers, really, really bad. So it's
Vikings aren't that great.
Similar, yeah, they've been terrible at 1-4. But I tend to agree
the Patriots.
with you. No, but they're not in the category of the Broncos, are they?
Yeah,
they put them in that category.
Yep.
Wow, that's bad.
Yep.
Might be time for Bill to.
When you get blown out like they did the past 2 weeks
at home, right?
Mac Jones sucks. Yeah.
There, you went there.
I did. I did.
It's close.
Come on, Orlovsky said if he was in 49er land, he'd be just as good as Brock Purdy.
Well, in an alternate timeline, maybe, but we're in the sacred timeline. In the sacred timeline, Mac Jones sucks.
We're in a sanctuary, like the clubhouse. I don't have an answer. Next question.
He doesn't know what I'm talking about.
I have no idea.
I know. I expect him not to. What team had the more disappointing year? The Dodgers or the Braves?
Man, I just on like pure principle alone, I have to say the Dodgers.
No, earlier you said the Braves, didn't you? We talked about this.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
When was this? Yesterday?
Well, no, today we did. I said principle.
He just pulled a Alanna Rizzo.
I did.
Right.
I said I feel like I have to say the Dodgers because of that. For the principle, because I hate the Dodgers. But if I'm speaking with my mind,
you hate the most.
I know. Let me finish. If I said I'm speaking with my mind, I'm going to pick the Braves.
So what's your answer?
I just said the Braves. I said I want to say the Dodgers, but my head's telling me I'm taking the Braves.
The Braves had a better year, so it's got to be the Braves. They're both out in the NLDS. Braves had the better year. Braves seem destined to get out of the first round. The Dodgers really didn't because they're the Dodgers, and they've come up short a lot. Now, Braves won the World Series in 2021, legitimate World Series, full season. Okay, so I thought the Braves were going to get out of this round. But again, facing the Phillies divisional, and I hate to blame the format because I'm not that guy, but it is hard. And I see why this is happening. It's a 5-game series against one team in the sport of baseball. Surprised that something like this would happen. It doesn't necessarily make it a failure, but it feels like it. It absolutely feels like a failure when 100-win teams can't beat 88-win teams. It does seem like that, but it's one series. So it's not shocking.
For me, it's the Braves. Acuna is probably going to be MVP. Matt Olson led the league in home runs and RBIs, and they had all that offense all year, and then they just, filtered out. So I think it's the Braves.
Well, did you hear what Dave Roberts had to say about losing in the postseason?
No.
Jon? You did not.
No.
Well, we were talking about like excuses and, don't use your excuse. Don't use the excuse of playoff format, right? It is, you guys were one of the best teams in baseball and you played like crap. So that is the excuse. All right. Well, Dave Roberts went on to SiriusXM, and this was him talking about the playoff loss to the Diamondbacks. When you hear it, you'll know.
I think that ideally, I would love to have one clear answer so you can remedy it. I think the facts are we didn't get good starting pitching out of the gate. We didn't catch a lead in the entire series, and the bats we just didn't hit. So, then you kind of take the second layer, as you mentioned, Danny, is the layoff and. Certainly not ideal. I think that anyone that picked up a baseball bat understands that, baseball is a rhythm sport. But when you're mired in it, you're in it. You can't let that bleed into your thought process, and you've got to make the best with whatever circumstance, and we clearly didn't.
Got beat by the format?
Oh, no, not Dave Roberts making excuses.
First of all, he started with a Jim fact. He's like, we didn't hit. We didn't pitch,
but he was going down the right path. He was going down the right path of accountability and the reason why they lost.
But
and then he took a hard left.
By the way, they didn't have think about it this way. The American League, they've got 4 days off right now. I want to say there's teams right now going through a 4-day layoff. The Phillies won yesterday. They next play Sunday or Monday. When does the NLCS start? Sunday or Monday?
Probably Sunday.
What do you mean probably? Monday. One of them starts Sunday, one starts Monday. My point is this. Maybe both teams are going to deal with it, but there's teams right now in 4-day layoffs. And the Dodgers had a 5-day layoff.
Monday.
So it starts Monday. So there's 4-day layoffs in there. The Dodgers went from a Sunday to a Saturday. They had a 5-day layoff. I mean, we're not talking about a month off. They didn't take a month off.
It's a rhythm sport.
And Houston last year won the World Series. So the Astros overcame this disadvantage.
Yeah.
So I don't buy it. I'd prefer to give credit to the team that beat them than to try to play that game of, well, yeah, we lost the Diamondbacks, but here's why. No, you just got beat. You got beat soundly.
Yeah. Your stars did not show up at all. You didn't pitch well. I mean, that's an understatement. They were horrible from the starting pitchers. Horrible. They had no timely hits. Mookie Betts had, I think, no hits in the series. He went 0 for in the entire series.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you lost. Not because of the rhythm that you potentially could have lost from the regular season. Dave Roberts, give me a break. But I wouldn't expect anything less from him, honestly.
Yeah, but I'd rather my rotation set with my ace against someone else's number 3 starter in game 1 of the NLDS than have to play in the wild card series, which, by the way, you could have lost. If the Dodgers were in the wild card series this year, they would have lost. Let's be honest. Based on what's going on here recently in the postseason, they wouldn't even been in the NLDS. So that's why you play for the bye.
Not Dave Roberts. Oh, no.
All right, here's what we're going to do. On the other side, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to Howl O Scream. You need to call 844-570-1360 right now if you want a chance to win a free 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. We'll play trivia, Trainwreck Radio. So call right now. Great prize. 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream going on right now. The number to call, 844-570. I forgot the number for a second. 844-570-1360. 844-570-1360. Call right now. Free 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream, Trainwreck Radio. First 2 callers will be our contestants. That's next on Jon and Jim. All right, caller 2 just dropped off for Trainwreck Radio. Who wants to play Greg for a chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. You need to call right now if you want that free 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. The number to call, 844-570-1360. Pick up your phone right now and call 844-570-1360. A free 4-pack of tickets to SeaWorld's Howl O Scream. Trainwreck Radio next. All right, so we asked Jim for a second time this year where Tulane is, and we told him earlier in the year exactly where it was and made fun of him. And we asked him again, and it didn't stick with him.
It did not stick with me. No.
His response, and he looked at us quizzically, was Florida.
It's in.
Not that it's some big thing. You have to know where Tulane is. It has nothing to do with anyone listening to us. But I just thought it was fun. Tulane's playing on a football game we're watching on TV right now.
Where is
They're really good.
Where is
Second, you get one more guess.
Louisiana.
Boom. Well done.
See, I knew that.
You know the city? That's too much.
Tulane.
No.
Tulane City.
Yeah, Tulane City in Louisiana.
So wait, why are they called Tulane then?
I don't know. Go to Wikipedia.
Well, then you're like the Tulane aficionado.
Why is low key, on this
it's
special
freaking
island?
Loki, not low key.
Whatever.
I almost cursed there.
But I'm saying I don't know why it's called Tulane. Maybe the founder of the school, his name was Tulane, but it's in New Orleans.
Okay.
Okay. In Louisiana. Brent's looking it up.
Okay.
Paul Garrison will join us at 5:30. He'll get us ready for San Diego State and Hawaii. I was criticizing the text line for the way I say Hawaii. Jim gets all into it.
You don't say Hawaii?
Hawaii. Whatever. That's at 5:30. What do you have, Brent?
The school's founder was a guy named Paul Tulane.
There you go, Jim.
Wow.
Jim
Makes sense. The Tulane family must be living pretty well right now.
Can someone please? Let's play.
What?
I don't know.
Founder of a school.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Greg and Brian. Greg, you called in first. You have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
Going with John.
Thank you, Greg.
All right. Fine, I guess. Brian, you get me, all right?
Yes, so.
Oh, I guess so.
So,
all right. There we go. Brent, what's the question?
All right, guys. San Diego State plays Hawaii tomorrow night right here on San Diego Sports 760. Today's question: can you name the 8 main islands of Hawaii?
Oh boy.
Jim,
So
good
today's
luck.
question: name any of the 8 islands of Hawaii.
Okay. Brian, you're up first. What is your first guess? And you do have your lifeline if you want to use it. What? Brian?
Maui.
Maui. Is Maui an island?
Maui's definitely
It is an island.
Definitely
And
an
it's
island.
beautiful.
Definitely an island. Never been, but I heard it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Greg, you're up next. What's your first guess? You do have your lifeline if you want to use it.
Kauai.
All right.
Okay, wait.
Is it Kauai?
Yeah, no, it's good.
It's
That
fine.
was, yeah,
It's
that's
cool.
good.
Yeah.
It's close enough.
Brian, you're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
Oahu.
Oahu. I like that.
On the list.
All
This
right.
is great.
We have Greg. You're up next. What is your second guess? You do have your lifeline if you choose to use it.
I think Lanai is in one of them.
Lanai.
Wow, I would not have
All
known
right.
that.
Okay. Brian, to go for 3 for 3 here. Final guess. You do have your lifeline if you want to use it. What do you got?
Believe it's Kona, the Big Island.
Kona.
Is Kona the big island on the list, Brent? This is some drama.
Dun, 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 dun.
No. Oh! Incorrect. Wow. So
What?
the door's open here
Sounded
for Greg
right.
to walk off?
Greg, you could walk this off with the correct answer.
And you have a lifeline.
You have a lifeline. What do you got?
John, I need your help.
Oh. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm kind of talking this through with Greg. Is Honolulu? Well, I'll talk it through with myself. See, I'm not good with this, but has anyone said like, isn't one of the islands Hawaii?
Do you take
Is
that,
that
Greg?
stupid? I want to say one of the islands is Hawaii.
Do you take that, Greg?
I think one of the islands is Hawaii.
All right.
I was going to go with Hawaii, too.
Hawaii for the win. Boom. Take that, Jim. Go back to Tulane.
It wasn't my fault.
Go back to Tulane.
So Hawaii for the win. What did we miss there? And what was the deal with the Kona Big Isle controversy or Big Island controversy?
Well, one, it wasn't on the list.
Okay.
And 2, Hawaii is, according to PBS, is the Big Island.
Oh.
That's why.
Okay, so Brian went with Kona, though.
Yes.
The
which
chat
is
on
not
YouTube
the
is saying Kona is a city,
Okay.
not an island.
All right.
Okay. I'm not going to say any of these right.
Oh, here's be fun.
Kahulale, the
Okay.
Target Island. There's the Kauai one. They said Lanai, the Pineapple Island. Maui, the Valley Isle. Molokai, Ninahu, and Oahu.
Oahu. Okay. Those are your 8 main islands of Hawaii. San Diego State's going to be in Honolulu. I'm already confused. Is that on the island of Oahu?
I think that's like on the island of Hawaii. I don't know.
Someone let me know. 70470.
You're asking a guy who didn't know where
It's very
Tulane was.
confusing. I
I'm
know.
like,
It's very
"Ugh."
confusing for me for some reason. All right. On the other side, back to where we are right now in the MLB postseason, what Bryce Harper has to say about these Phillies heading into the National League Championship Series. If you missed Alanna Rizzo earlier today, apologizing. We'll play that for you as well. At 5:30, speaking of San Diego State and Hawaii, Paul Garrison from the islands will join us from the East Village Times. He'll get us ready. Must win for San Diego State. He'll join us at 5:30. What do you got, Brent?
Honolulu is a city in Hawaii.
Hour 3, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Phillies, they're moving on to the NLCS, where they'll take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. That series gets underway on Monday. Astros and Rangers, ALCS, that series gets underway on Sunday. Moving over to NFL, Deshaun Watson has been ruled out this weekend for the Browns as they take on the undefeated 49ers. The Aztecs, they take on Hawaii tomorrow night. 8 p.m. kickoff. Our pregame coverage starts at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. There's a whole lot of savings going on now at Staples. During Staples Sit-a-thon, save up to $150 on select office and desk chairs. And when you buy a chair, you save 25% on desks, storage solutions, and office accessories. In-store only. Offer ends 10/28. Now is the time to save at Staples.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. We are with you until 6 o'clock here tonight. Paul Garrison, East Village Times from Honolulu. We didn't get the invite. Paul Garrison's there in Hawaii. He'll join us coming up at 5:30. Aztecs, Rainbow Warriors. We'll get into that coming up, Jim. We said earlier in the week, must win for the Aztecs to reach a bowl game. And that, mathematically speaking, it's pretty much true.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go 2-5 and have any. There's a path, but the path is really, really slim. You got to win this weekend at Hawaii.
Dude,
right?
It 100% must win. You lose 5 in a row. People are going to, I mean, they're already upset, but it's going to, I mean, you saw today in the UT by Kurt Kenny talking to JD Wicker about the future and the direction of the football program. And that's happening right now. You lose to Hawaii, it's going to be ramped up even more than it is right now. You need to get a win under your belt. You need to play some good football. And I feel like getting home with a 13-10 win, it's going to be nice on paper, but it's not going to make anybody feel any better.
No. I said earlier in the week, just you can win 2-0. I'm with you. I don't know if 30-0 that's not the cure-all.
It's not the cure-all.
I mean? Like, there's no cure-all here.
I didn't say there was. I never said there was a cure-all.
I think, yeah, I get your point on a 13-10 win, but a lot better than a 13-10 loss.
Well, of course. But again, if you're looking at right now, the bottom line is just win by 2-0.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Okay. I know you are.
Because whenever this is the same old argument. It's like the Boise State game, they lose 34-31. No one said,
but I'm not saying
man,
lose.
I'm so thrilled.
I'm not saying lose 34-31. I'm saying win 34 but 31.
I mean, okay, I guess it's Hawaii. I mean, however you win, just win. I get what you're saying, but I'm not overly. JD Wicker made the same point that I've been making, which is the schedule was front loaded. That doesn't mean they're going to play better in the second half, but they have opportunities. If they favored this weekend, favored next weekend against Nevada, they've lost like 10 or 15 games in a row. They'll get Utah State at home. If they can win a couple of games, they'd be favored in that one. San Jose State, Colorado State, I mean, it's way more manageable. There's no Oregon State or UCLA lurking, maybe Fresno State potentially, but the other 5 games you have remaining are quote unquote winnable. And you got to go take advantage of that. And here's a Jim fact: win those games.
What?
In whatever fashion. But I get your point.
Yeah.
People like to say, okay, you got to win, but you got to win with a style to the win.
Well, it's not just a style. Like, you got to play. That would, to me, tell me you played at least good football and offense. You won 34-31. And you have to look at the box score and tell me, all right, do they have any turnovers in the game? What did Maiden look like?
Right.
Did they run the ball at all? They beat Idaho State, right? The box score. They ran the ball really effectively, mostly from Jalen.
Yeah, that's right.
But still, they had a lot of problems in that game.
Yeah. No, you're right.
So it was a ugly win. And it would be nice if this team, because they have not had it this year,
a pretty win. Yeah, their last win, to your point, on a 4-game losing streak with a bye was literally the first weekend of September because they played week 0. So they have not won a game.
Mm-hmm.
What was the day? September 3rd?
Yeah.
And now it's middle of October.
Because I do believe that style points in college football matter.
I do. Your point in general is valid. It does matter. Make no mistake. There is value
NFL,
to it.
You go 17-0, you win every game 2-0. That's fine by me.
But here's my point though. Like when you're 2-4 in the group of 5 and you're 0-2 in the Mountain West and you're just trying to get back on your feet, that's where to me it doesn't matter as much. Sure, if you're 6-0 and you're competing with another 6-0 team in the group of 5, then you got to do it, and maybe you have to do it in a pretty performance, so to speak. But what San Diego State needs this weekend in the worst way is any type of win. I'm with you. I hope they put together a complete 60 minutes because we've said this week they haven't really done it. No. Ohio was their performance that was their best this year, but they kind of held on at the end in that one as well. So San Diego State, a favorite. We'll see if they can get that win. We'll catch up with Paul Garrison coming up at 5:30. Bryce Harper spoke with Pat McAfee. I texted Jim last night on the plane. I said we had Bryce Harper on the show at 3:10, but we didn't. He bailed for Pat McAfee.
Stole him from us.
It's unbelievable.
Can't believe that guy.
So I think, do we have the question?
Maybe you should start just not wearing sleeves, Jim.
Jim is similar to Pat McAfee, and he always wears the same style shirt. It's just a one color, white, gray,
beige,
blue. Yeah.
Beige
white shirt.
Well, Brent, if I was paid like Pat McAfee, I don't care what I would wear. Like if I made as much money as that guy, I'd wear cutoff sleeves every single day.
So you don't make as much as him?
Not even close.
Ooh. No, I'm saying maybe if you wore cutoff sleeves,
you'd make
then Bryce Harper would have been like, oh, look, that guy's pretty cool. He doesn't wear sleeves. I'll go on their show.
Let's all just wear cutoff sleeves from now on.
Yeah.
I'm good. Do we have the question on here or just Harper's response?
No, we have it both.
We have the question? Yeah. But here's the point though, is remember, I'm always making this comp. Machado discounted culture.
He loves it, yeah.
He discounted culture to Kevin Ace. He's saying, what is this high school baseball? What is this college baseball? Here's an entire answer from Bryce Harper about the Phillies culture.
You guys seem to not understand what nerves are. You don't feel nerves. You guys seem to thrive when the lights are brightest, when it means the most. And that's what's crazy about baseball. Like, you guys fail a lot up there. Like, you fail a bunch, but you guys seem to hit dingers in the biggest moments, in the biggest games. What is it about your team, I think, that kind of has that, whatever that it factor is?
I think just the vibe. Like, our whole team has a vibe. Every single guy, I feel like, in our clubhouse is meant to play in Philly. And it's crazy to say that, right? I mean, because Philly is such an insane place to play. I mean, we have some of the craziest fans in the world, and they'll let you know when you're playing bad, but they let you know when you're playing well also. And that's the best part about our team. Is 1 through 25, each guy has a vibe on our team. Everybody looks in the mirror and says, hey, what can I do to do my job well today to help us win? And if I don't get it done or somebody else doesn't get it done, that next guy will. And you guys saw that in Castellanos last night, Trey Turner as well. And it's just the vibe of our team. It's an electric vibe. And we want to play this game. We play it hard. And like I said, each guy is built to play in Philly. And I mean, that's the best thing I can say is each guy does their job well. And when they do, you win games.
Do you think the Padres clubhouse was a vibe this year?
Right. The translation is everything you just said there. You could say he's talking about their culture. When he says vibe, replace it with the word culture.
Yeah.
Next man up mentality. Look in the mirror. We pick each other up. It's the easiest comp to make. The issues that the Padres have experienced it feels like they're just like individualistic. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like a group. It doesn't feel like a team at times. Maybe more so in 2022. I get it. They had more success. But this past year, were we talking about good vibes? I mean, we talked about piñatas for like a week. And then we
tried to make it a thing. We tried to push the piñata. Like, hey, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. And then it became like, okay, we should probably stop this because we can't win.
So you can't sell me on culture not mattering. I'm sorry. When I hear Bryce Harper talking about it, he's literally screaming from the top of the roof or wherever, that we have a good culture.
But John, if you win games, the culture will follow.
But they haven't always.
I'm trying to be the person out there that's their excuse and argument.
And I make that excuse. Like, it's chicken egg-ish at times. Like, well, if you're not winning, you're not going to have a good culture. But maybe you are winning because of your culture.
Yeah. See, I look at it as Bryce is the leader of that team. And they didn't make the postseason a couple years ago. And Bryce won the MVP, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Which was 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And they went into the 2022 season with Girardi as their manager still.
Right. Got rid of him, slow start.
Vibes were not great.
No, not good vibes.
Not good vibes. Then the vibes changed, and they made a trip to the NLCS or the World Series last year.
Yeah.
And this year they're in the NLCS again. I do think it has to do with, the certain players they have in that clubhouse and the dynamic they have that is creating a culture of, like he said there, we all have each other's backs. We all root for one another. And it creates an environment that is just a positive environment and helps, and it breeds winning. These are all, not saying the Padres don't have good players. They have good players. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You could argue that they could have potentially better players than the Phillies do.
Mm-hmm.
But the mix did not fit. The players did not fit to what it should look like with the Phillies. And so the comp is very simple. The culture with the Padres was crap because of the dynamic of the players in that clubhouse. And the culture is great in Philadelphia because of the dynamics of the players in that clubhouse.
And there's one other distinct difference is that they back up their words with their play, specifically in the postseason. And the Padres, to their credit, last year did have postseason success. You cannot discount a Mets road series win. You can't discount a Dodgers series win as the road team. They did not have home field advantage. But under the brightest of lights, and we've talked about this, and I think it's fair, under the brightest of lights, the Padres didn't perform as well as the Phillies. Duh. It was a 4-1 Phillies, series win. Mm-hmm. And you look at Bryce Harper's career postseason numbers, they jump off the page, Jim. They jump off the page. He's an over 1,000 OPS postseason player in his career. Over 1,000. And he just backs it up. You need your stars in those situations to carry. And the Padres got good performances last year. The Joe Musgroves, timely hitting Jake Cronenworth against the Dodgers. Trent Grisham against the Mets. So they had moments, but they didn't have that, hey, I'm going to pick my team up and I'm going to lead you out of this series from a star like Manny Machado. And that he had a fine postseason last year, but he has not had a Manny Machado type postseason, or a Bryce Harper type postseason. He just hasn't.
No, he's not carried the team. But he's only, to be fair, he's only been in 2 postseasons. And one of them was like fake. Yeah, here.
Yep.
Here. And I don't know if he necessarily led the Dodgers to the World Series that year. He didn't. He's as what I said. Yeah. Manny Machado is a passenger. He's not a bus driver as of right now. It could change.
What's the car company that does it? Like Drivers Wanted. Volkswagen, like Drivers Wanted. Remember that ad campaign?
No, I'm 34. I don't probably remember that.
It's from like last year, dude.
I don't remember that.
Less time on TikTok and more time watching like television.
Why not both?
I mean, maybe. Drivers Wanted ad campaign. Volkswagen. There was a whole ad campaign, like Volkswagen, Drivers Wanted.
Okay, great. Well, then that's what is happening right now with the Padres.
Like, we want drivers.
We want a driver. We don't want passengers. We want, when I hear Manny Machado, we have 26 leaders in this clubhouse. It makes me cringe every time I hear that.
Mm-hmm.
When I hear those things, it's like, step up, be the man, perform, lead.
I'm so glad you said that, though, because literally Harper said, hey, 1 through 25, if somebody doesn't like live up to it, we'll pick up that player. Like, when he said it, it's like he meant it. Mm-hmm. When Machado said it, I'm like, hold on, I just read this article, dude. And you say we have no culture. Mm-hmm. And now you want me to believe in your pecking order hierarchy of a clubhouse that Tom Cosgrove has pull.
No, he doesn't.
You know what I mean? Where you can say it, but I don't buy it. Where when Bryce Harper says it, I'm like, I might actually buy that.
That's why if you're a Padres fan watching this Phillies team this year, I feel like, and I feel like Padres fans are rooting for this Phillies team, even after what happened last season by the Phillies ending the Padres season. You know why? I believe there's a jealousy factor there. Jealousy factor in a like a good way of, man, I wish the Padres were like that because they have the talent to be like that. And I wish that the Padres went into this year with the same type of like mentality the Phillies had going into this season, which was, we want to get back and be better than what we were last year. Now, the Phillies didn't have this great season. They still won 90 games, though. They still won 90 games.
I thought they were good in the second half.
They were really good in the second half.
Which is, last year, they tailed off late, but then they got going in the
Harper
postseason.
got hurt, I believe, right? Or
Yeah,
no, he came back from injury towards like the...
Well, both years, right? He came back from injury. Did he
Yeah,
not?
because Blake Snell broke his hand last year.
Yeah, both years.
And this year he came back from Tommy John surgery.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that if you're a Padres fan out there, and I bet there's a lot that are watching this Phillies team and like, you know what? These guys are kind of likable. And I think deep down it's because Padres fans know that should have been the Padres this year. That type of team,
I agree,
with the mentality and the like clutchness and just performing when the lights are the brightest.
And the vibes with these stars and the names.
Everybody wanted and thought that was going to be the Padres. And wasn't even close. It was like the complete opposite.
When AJ Preller said at the end of the year, I feel like it was a missed and lost opportunity. Yeah, because look at what the Phillies are doing. Like, they were in the same spot. They're committed to winning now, in theory, like the Padres. They've established a real core of players in their prime that needs to go out and win a World Series. You're not waiting on Harper. You're not trying to do it in the future. You're trying to do it now. Same thing with Machado. You're not trying to win the World Series in the future. You're trying to do it now. And when you miss out, Bogarts talked about it. You miss out on players you're paying a lot in their primes. That is a huge swing and a miss.
Preller put together a bunch of talent that personality-wise did not mesh well. The Phillies put together a bunch of talent that personality-wise meshed
really well.
Amazing. Now, I think the Braves, they all meshed well because they won, and they also meshed well because of the talent they have in that clubhouse. I think the Dodgers, the same thing. Just they didn't perform when the bright lights were the brightest.
Right.
I think the D-backs adding Tommy Pham this year completely changed that clubhouse. Tommy Pham ain't gonna take any crap. And they're now in the NLCS as well. We haven't even talked about them really, but the Phillies more than anybody. You look at that, just as Bryce said, the vibe, the culture of that team. Padres fans, I think it's like you're watching something that you should have had this year. You should have been that team. That's who the Padres should have been. Instead, every single player on this Padres team was bickering and didn't get along and didn't pull in the same rope and quit and cried about things and blamed the media, and it turned out to be a disaster.
And here's the other thing. You're right. You're looking in the mirror at someone that outperformed you. You're like, we should be like them, but you're on the outside looking in. And the other thing is, if you weren't going to be them, you could have been the Diamondbacks. They literally had 2 series against the Diamondbacks when they were at their low point. They weren't treading water. They were playing terrible baseball. In the middle of August, they acquired Pham. They were in a tailspin. I'd have to look it up. At one point, like 1-14 in a 15-game stretch. It was that bad.
I think they had a less than 5% chance at one point in the season to make the postseason.
They were just in a complete tailspin. And what turned their season around, the Diamondbacks can thank the Padres for the spot that they're in. They got 2 series in a 10-game stretch, and they cleaned up. And the Padres wasted opportunities, had chances to win games against the Diamondbacks. They failed to come through. If they win those 2 series, that could be the Padres. But they lost those 2 series, and it's the Diamondbacks.
It sucks, man. It sucks because if you are only banking on winning, creating a culture, good luck.
Like you're saying, it's got to start culture first, will then create it.
I do believe that it has to start, they go chicken and egg. Well, if you win, you create a good culture. Dude, they won last year and there were still problems. And it reared its head this year in the worst way. And if there was a good culture, I don't think the problems would have happened this year. But they did. Because guess what? The culture is not great.
And I'm with you. I'm not the Padres culture was obviously bad. I would also make an argument it can be overcome, but they're not a good example of a team that can do that with their dynamic. Now, can you flip the script in 2024? Yeah, they absolutely can. It's an expanded postseason where the Diamondbacks are in with 84 wins. So we're not asking the world of them to get in, but we're also not just anointing them in.
No.
I cannot anoint them in based on what I saw this year.
It just sucks how we're talking about for an entire offseason how the Padres have a bad culture.
Right.
Instead of just what you're going to be hearing from Atlanta, from Milwaukee, from who else lost? Well, Dodgers, okay. That their stars just didn't perform. Instead of like, hey, the culture sucks here. It needs to change. I mean, that is starting at such a low point to get to a point where it needs to be. That's a frustrating feeling. That's a frustrating feeling instead of talking about actual stuff on the field and how, they didn't perform in the postseason, which all of these fan bases are going to be talking about with teams I just mentioned. We're talking about, hey, not only did they not perform on the field, the Padres, but a lot of their issues are culture related.
And they're not changing the dynamic.
No.
Core back. We'll see about Soto. Manager back, which I think most see as a good thing. General manager back, huge question mark.
So how does that change?
Exactly. If nothing changes, nothing changes.
Yeah.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times in Honolulu, getting ready for the Aztecs and the Rainbow Warriors tomorrow night right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 8 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6. Paul will get us ready for Saturday night. Must win for the Aztecs. He'll join us next. Hey guys, it's Schaefer. I've been telling you all about Windmill Farms. I'm heading over there, by the way, each and every Wednesday. We do the coaches show with Brady Hoke. Then I head over to Windmill Farms. They've got just amazing food. It's the perfect spot for lunch. Amazing vegetarian options for someone like myself, by the way. Great family. I was there last week hanging out with Trevor, who's the owner. His family's been in the grocery business for decades here in San Diego. They really pride themselves on working with local businesses in San Diego. I've been telling you about the sandwich card, by the way. If you go there for lunch, Windmill Farms, you get your 8th sandwich free with the sandwich card. And they pride themselves on keeping prices low, using the best possible ingredients as well. So again, hey guys, it's Schaefer. Windmill Farms is the college area's natural grocer. They've got you covered during your work week with lunch, on the weekends for your game day needs, whether it's the farm fresh produce and meats or the amazing craft beer we've told you about or the deli that I've been telling you about as well. They're centrally located off Del Cerro Boulevard across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. They've been family owned, serving the San Diego area for 20 years. If you don't live or work near Del Cerro, no problem. You can find Windmill Farms on Instacart. Have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. Again, Windmill Farms supports local businesses, and a reminder to shop local. Check them out at windmillfarmsmarket.com. They have their weekly specials there, and shop at Windmill Farms.
All right, this update is brought to you by Jim Petrell's real estate team. Phillies, they're in the NLCS. They're going to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. That series gets underway on Monday. The ALCS gets underway on Sunday between the Rangers and the Astros. NFL news of the day. Deshaun Watson has been ruled out for the Cleveland Browns for their weekend game. First, the 49ers. And tomorrow, the Aztecs are back in action as they'll take on Hawaii. 8 p.m. kickoff. 6 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Petrell has the buyers. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
All right, Paul Garrison from Hawaii will join us momentarily.
Oh, he's in Hawaii?
He's in. I've said it like 30 times tonight.
Well, guess what? Just like you didn't listen to my update there, I've been listening to you say that.
It's a very good show. We don't listen
to each other. So listen to us, not listen to each other.
Paul Garrison joins us every week, East Village Times. He's on the road. Tough assignment in Honolulu. San Diego State, Hawaii is tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock local. Paul also telling me earlier today that, Paul, this is like your first time away with your wife without the kids in how long?
About 12 years. My oldest is 12, and we have 4 total, and we have not gotten away in that time other than, little staycations in downtown San Diego or something like that.
Amazing.
So, yeah, this is a rough assignment. I'm struggling to make sure that I can cover the Aztecs tomorrow.
Well, enjoy a couple of days in paradise because, San Diego, it's so rough, obviously, here. From San Diego's perspective, San Diego State's perspective, it becomes it's pretty close to a must win, right? I mean, if you're going to make a bowl game, they're going to have to beat Hawaii tomorrow, right?
I think without question. I mean, we've obviously discussed this every week. But I mean, going back to their game against Ohio, we were calling that one a must win because of the 4 games that the Aztecs have just went through, and the fact that they were going to be underdogs in all of those games, and 2 and 4 was a real possibility. And so I think this is very much, a measuring stick of where the Aztecs are, because the reality is they're not a full team in terms of their skill, in terms of their talent, if they can't come on the road and beat Hawaii, who's also coming forward. So it's no doubt it's a must win. Being able to find at least 4 wins in the remaining of their schedule. And it starts strong.
Paul, what's been a bigger concern for you this year so far? Them giving up the big play or the lack of consistency on offense?
I think everything, San Diego State has had a 13-year run of success, and that run of success has always started with a good defense. And I think that if you can't play defense at San Diego State, and you can't have not even a mediocre defense. I mean, they've been pretty bad. I think that's what's concerning, because that's their recipe and their formula for success. And even if their offense does become successful, it's built to control the clock. It's built to run the football. It's built to be able to complement what they do on defense and being able to control the number of possessions, etc. And the fact that they haven't been able to play defense, tackling big plays, I think that's been the most concerning. And we'll see if a bye week helps them to be able to get it right.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times, with us right now on Jon and Jim. This San Diego State run game, as alluding to their success over the last decade plus. I mean, Hawaii has not stopped the run this year. Hawaii also hasn't run the football effectively this year. Can San Diego State, like you said, off a bye week, find some semblance of a running game this weekend?
I mean, they need to, and I feel like they've been close to, having a game that you would point to and you'd say, okay, like that was a really good game by the running back. But they just, for the most part, have not had a lot of explosive runs. I think teams are trying to make sure that they don't have those explosive plays, and they're trying to force the San Diego State offense to string together, 7, 8, 9, 10 play drives, and if they're going to score. I think this is a game where they, could maybe have found something on tape, something that, offense coordinator Ryan Lindley would like to put together. But ultimately, it's about getting offensive linemen, the tight ends, getting into that second, third level, finishing blocks. There's been a few runs where, if their linemen could have blocked the safety, he would already be talking about, Keenan Christian's second or third 100-yard game. And a lot of times, obviously with running backs, like that's what happens. It's not that they get 6, 7, 8 yards of carries, but they have 1 or 2 huge carries and then kind of pedestrian the rest of the way. And so they're just lacking that big play. This has been their formula for beating Hawaii, and the success that they've had recently has been with the run game, and that's absolutely what needs to lead the way for the offense tomorrow.
What grade would you give Jalen Maiden for the first 6 games of the year?
I think a D plus. I think he is a very competitive quarterback. He has continued to have the turnover issues, and he's shown enough to show that he's capable of it, but there's just a lack of consistency. Unlike many of the other San Diego State offenses in the past, they're really put the keys to everything that they're doing on offense in his hands. He just hasn't quite yet been good enough. Flip side of it is he played some really good defenses. And those defenses have, he's done fine with them. I think if he has kind of similar performances, but without the big turnovers, whether it's the fumbles against Boise State, going and throwing a pick 6 against Air Force, it's those turnovers, which, has been his issue, was his issue last year, and he doesn't seem to have solved those. So if he could have, kind of play the game that he normally plays, but without the big turnovers, I think you could see a real big jump in his production.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times, with us from Honolulu, San Diego State, and Hawaii tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Pacific. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6 p.m. Paul, as you know, first 4 games, San Diego State's forcing turnovers. A lot of interceptions. I think 10 turnovers forced in 4 games, none in conference against Boise State or Air Force. A huge difference against Boise State in terms of winning or losing the football game. How critical is that? And can San Diego State stop that drought this weekend against the run and shoot?
They need to figure something out, because, they've described themselves as being kind of a bend but don't break defense when they were getting those early turnovers. But that just hasn't been the case. I mean, the flip side to not creating turnovers against Boise State and Air Force is they gave up such large choke plays. They really didn't give themselves an opportunity too much to kind of put pressure on the other offenses to force the mistake. And, winning the turnover battle is huge for San Diego State, that, again, likes to have time of possession, likes to limit the number of possessions in a game. And if you're able to steal a possession or 2 tomorrow, I think it goes a long way to the Aztecs coming away with a victory.
Look, we've talked about it, me and John, about, hey, the importance of just getting a win. But I'm on the side, Paul, and tell me if you agree or not, that they need to look good. Like, they have not played a full good football game yet this season. A win, yes, obviously that's the most important thing. But if they win like 9-6, it's just stupid field goal game. I don't think many people are going to be happy with that. Instead of like, hey, we want to see like a 31-14 win tomorrow instead of a 9-6 win. Do you agree that style points here and showing that they can play a full good football game matters?
I think it definitely matters when you're thinking about, turnstile attendance for their game against Nevada. I think that, you look at what this team has done in flashes, and they've shown the ability to be good at times, and if they can put that together. But I agree with you. I think that, the same sort of murmurs are going to be around some of the negative aspects of the fan base, who, want to see more explosiveness, etc. And to, as you're saying, to really find those style points and to win in not dramatic fashion, but just kind of in easy fashion, a dominant fashion. Flip side of it is, it feels a little bit, I don't know what the right phrase, it feels a little bit like asking a lot for a 2-14 to go on the road. This is a 6-hour flight. It is not an easy flight to get over there. And any win is what they need to do to be able to start building momentum, but it would go a long way towards, satisfying a lot of these conversations if they could win in convincing fashion.
So, what are the plans other than the game, Paul? I mean, Waikiki Beach or any hikes? What are you going to do on an off day,
Sounds
maybe
like a
Sunday?
horrible trip.
Yeah, horrible trip. Yeah, so we are currently debating it. We don't have a ton of time. Definitely thank the babysitters who are watching the kids back home, but we're going to do some snorkeling. Might go out to Pearl Harbor, museum. There's a hike and not too far from where there's a waterfall. So we got a lot in store. Looking forward to having a good evening tonight as well.
That must be nice.
That sounds nice, man. We're stuck in San Diego, Paul. It's been very
Yeah,
difficult.
poor guys.
Paul Garrison, East Village Times. Enjoy a couple of days, Paul, with your wife, and we'll catch up with you again next week before the Aztecs finally return home.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, Paul Garrison from Honolulu. Jim's got it so tough.
I do have it very tough. But
you didn't get the invite.
There's one thing there with what Paul said after I asked him about style points
Yes.
and looking good, and he made a really good point. Maybe that's a lot to ask of a 2-4 team.
That's what I was saying.
But you didn't say it like that.
I know, I agree, but I'm like, just win. That's my point. You know what I'm saying.
Maybe they're not good enough to prove that fact. That
You're
they
playing
can
on the road against another hungry team. They're also 2-4, so they're thinking, "Hey, we need to get to a bowl game," and you're thinking, "We need to get to a bowl game." It's not some pushover role. You're not at home against an FCS team.
Yeah, it's like Jim. Read a book without making a mistake. That's a tough ask.
Or just read a book.
Or just read anything without
Just
making a mistake.
finish one.
Just finish a book. That's a tough ask.
All right, Jim's back page. He's been getting ready for this all day. Jim's back page.
That was such a slight. How do you not know I already have everything ready to go?
I know he has at least one thing because I sent him something.
Okay. Jim's back page. Don't go anywhere. It's next. All right, Jim's back page. That's on the other side. Stay with us. All right, a final time here on a Friday afternoon. Again, a reminder, join us San Diego State football tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, right here on San Diego Sports 760. Our pregame coverage, the march to kickoff, will begin at 6 p.m. So we'll be with you here this weekend. We've got NFL football Sunday, Monday Night Football Monday on San Diego Sports 760 at 5:15. NBC 7 Sports Wrap with maybe Darnay Tripp.
Darnay.
Maybe Todd Strain. Maybe Derek Togerson. Find out Monday. Join us at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
Spin the wheel.
Oh, that's a tease.
That's a
Really
tease.
like that?
Yeah. Who will it be on
Think
Monday?
about it all weekend.
For NBC Sports Wrap.
Right.
On San Diego Sports 760.
Right. Monday at
Starting
2:30.
at 2:30.
Yeah.
To 3:30.
Now, have you been you've watched it back? I've watched it back.
Yeah.
It's getting better every week in terms of like.
Well, that always happens. You're never going to be perfect for the first time. I mean, we do this all the time. Hey, remember our first wrap-up show?
Oh my gosh!
Or
On
remember our
YouTube,
first Jon and Jim show?
If you ever honestly go search for find our wrap-up show channel and then like go oldest to newest and watch our first video.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
It's horrific.
Please do that.
You just got to do it a bunch of times to get in a rhythm, and then it's like a plug and play, and you're boom, everything's great.
Jim facts. Let's get to it.
Life facts. John, when's the last time you bought or went out and rented a Blu-ray or DVD?
I mean, I would say I'm trying to think. It would probably have been in the 2000s.
Why? That's
like not the 2010s. I'm saying at least
that far back.
I think.
Well, you don't really watch movies.
I don't
so
do
why
movies,
would you do
but
it?
even were people renting them and like
Was it the Bart Torvig story?
yeah, exactly. It was
Right.
Ken Palm.
Ken
As
Palm.
told through the lens of John Schaefer.
Like you never went to a Red Box at like a store and got a movie?
Yeah, I did, but
as
I'd
you're on
have to
your
go
way
back to well before San Diego. So a decade ago.
Like just Jones watched DVDs.
No, YouTube.
Oh, okay.
YouTube's the way to
Yeah.
go. Well, Best Buy, this is the story that Brent sent me earlier today. Best Buy, beginning in 2024, will stop selling DVDs and Blu-ray discs in store and online.
Why?
because
Because
nobody buys them.
Nobody buys them.
Yeah.
Like, why
Everything's
sell
digital.
something that nobody buys? Because it's all digital. It's
Mm-hmm.
all streaming. Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, Disney Plus.
Dude,
Like,
remember when your friends had like an amazing like DVD collection?
oh, I know.
Like,
I was one
pieces
of them.
I
I
still
was the
have
person.
mine.
collection.
I was the friend.
I could so see that.
I had
all
like
the Star
my
Wars.
TV set up with my TV stand, and I had the 2 shelves on the side, and I had all my DVDs like
and then
stacked
you'd, like,
up on the
take them
sides.
out and put them in your little DVD player and be
My-
so excited.
Well, my
I-
PS3 at the time.
right.
I still have them for when like I move and have that week without internet.
Yeah, you can use that.
So then I can watch them. But it's hard to go back because it's glaringly obvious that they're not in HD,
Oh,
and
uh-huh.
like the formatting is different than what it is now too. So it was hard to watch. I tried to
Wow.
watch Lord of the Rings like that once. Last time I moved, it was rough.
I have like seasons 1 through 4 on Blu-ray of Game of Thrones for some reason. I have the old N1 mixtapes
oh yeah.
on
remember those.
DVDs. Remember those? Those
Yeah.
are awesome.
I have
It's
tons
like when
of
you-
Simpsons
yeah.
stuff that I don't need anymore.
I have
'cause
the
they're all on
Simpsons movie.
Plus.
Yep, I have
I
all
had
that.
like CDs, like Jock Jam.
That's not what I'm talking about.
They
Yeah, I
stopped
understand.
selling those a long time ago.
I understand. I'm not
That
an
went
idiot.
first.
Carry on.
Netflix is planning to open a permanent store location where fans can dine, shop, and play in 2025. The streaming store plans to open for 2 locations in the U.S. by 2025. Netflix is looking at cities such as Tokyo, New York, and Mexico City as potential hubs for the new destination known as Netflix House.
What would you do there? You would eat there?
Netflix House will be the company's first permanent site after it has experimented with pop-up locations the past couple of years. You would eat there, you could dine there. I guess you could like have your kids play there. I don't know. Netflix House will have rotating installments, including ticketed experiences and food and beverages from unscripted shows. The food and drinks will range from casual to more high-end offerings. Would you go to this? Probably not, because you don't watch
No,
movies. Brent,
absolutely
would you go
not.
to that?
Maybe. I think if you take too long to eat your food, they should have a prompt that comes up that goes, "Are you still there eating?"
That'd be funny. That'd be funny. Or have a like where you sit down in a booth and you
And-
can watch a Netflix show.
Or put in a password.
Or just use someone else's
I don't know.
password.
What are you talking? You're not even listening.
Because Netflix, like, you know, you
Yeah.
have to have a password or something.
yeah.
That's the new thing. You got anything else?
NASA's sending a spacecraft 2.2 billion miles away to an asteroid to examine it and study it.
For the eclipse tomorrow? Tomorrow morning?
Yeah, I'll get there tomorrow morning.
Our last eclipse, I think, before
2.2 billion
2039.
miles away.
Yeah, don't look straight into it.
No, don't. Or get eclipse glasses. All right, join us tomorrow night, San Diego State and Hawaii, 8 p.m. Pacific. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, or YouTube. Search for Jon and Jim 760. Find us on social. Search for Jon and Jim. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. We'll see you tomorrow night. San Diego State football right here on San Diego Sports 760.
So, okay.
Turn your mic on, you idiot.
So.